aşağıydı ama. Oof. All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. So, yes, we are now live with episode 37 of Shrine Talk. And of course, joining me today is a demon of mischief and president of the Nagoriyuki fan club, Sir Kappa. Say hello, man.
Hello, everybody. It is I, the demon of mischief. Some would call me the gritty king. Others would call me a jester of hell. One individual would call me the funny Nago player. But you can call me Sir Kappa. How is everybody's day going?
Yes, hope everyone's day is going well so far. It's going to be a very eventful day, but more on that later. But of course, for now, I'd like to introduce my guest for a bit. I personally have known Kappa for a while, but like we never really interacted much until like last year. Ironically, not through fighting games, but through fucking Fortnite of all things.
The irony, the poetic irony.
Yes, the hilarious irony of that. And Pog new Kappa model, yes, indeed, Chaos.
Yeah, I'm happy about it, man.
Of course, I've known Kappa as a really fucking skilled fighting game player, in particularly in Guilty Gear Strive. And for those who don't know Kappa, of course, Kappa, kindly introduce yourself, like tell them what you stream and play and stuff. The usual.
Hello. Yeah, so to those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Sir Kappa. I go by the Demon of Mischief, most common title you will hear from me. I am kind of a I'm not huge on variety streams, but I do dabble from time to time with new games from here and there, but I do prioritize fighting game content primarily on like Guilty Gear Strive. And as mentioned before, I am a Nago main. I've been playing the character since launch, so you will hear a lot about him in a bit. But in general, I am mostly a fighting game streamer and primarily on Guilty Gear Strive. But every now and again, I'll do streams like what Inari mentioned. We do a lot of Fortnite. We dabble from time to time with different games. And, you know, the whole point is just to have a good time. And the idea that I can bring a whole lot of misfits together. Usually it's considered a bad term, but I like to consider it as a group of individuals up to no good, but a welcoming community nonetheless. And I hope that you welcome me with open arms as I have been with Inari, who's opened up his community to me.
Yes. So as you can see, today's topic is fighting game balance in the modern era. And how would you, just a little question that wasn't included because I wanted to surprise you a bit. How would you describe modern era of fighting games?
It's a bit of a mixed bag. I feel like while I do think that balance nowadays is a lot better, I think there's a nice balance between a lot of games now. I do think there is some level of concern where some games, in order to achieve said balance, tend to take the approach of we must remove or reconstruct certain playstyles and certain characters, specifically if they had like really obnoxious past iterations to be more in line with the modern day. And that could be considered both a good and a bad thing depending on who you ask. But I think in general, it's in a pretty healthy spot, but it does raise some concern from time to time.
Well, for me personally, the way I would describe fighting games right now, it's no longer a big niche. I mean, it is niche, but I would consider it a very mainstream niche now because of, again, how big and how diverse the fighting game community has become. Like, it's not just gamers who play fighting games now, even casual video game enthusiasts and players play fighting games too, or if not play, they dabble in it, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, it's like the audience is only expanding. It's like the reach of people is expanding beyond just like fighting game enthusiasts. Some people who are just onlookers who could just be coming across it randomly or just know about it because of a friend. They give it a shot and then you wind up getting new people. The audience is stretching further than we ever thought, to the point where games like Guilty Gear Strive, Dragon Ball FighterZ, and quite a few others have gotten so big because of either good marketing or because of absolute amazing memes. Yeah, like memes, just generally speaking, just memes.
Oh yes, I definitely agree.
I mean, Neko Arc quite literally saved Type Lumina. Let's be real.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. All right, so first question of the topic. So let's get this out of the way because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are curious. So what fighting games have you played?
Like just historically?
Yes.
Okay.
And
okay,
shut a moment, I'll just doorbell. So 1 minute. Just 1 minute.
Yeah,
1 sec.
Yeah, go for it. I'm gonna be a minute, so it's all good. So my whole path of being in the FGC didn't start until like 2015-ish, but I have a long history of like playing fighting games, but never like seriously or casually until I was like 15 or 16. And this all started when I was a kid. When the Neo Geo cabinets were still common to see both in like swap meets and car washes and whatnot. And, you know, I was a little kid. I was like 3, 4, maybe 5 years old when I saw KOF 2002, Samurai 5 Showdown Special, and Tekken 3 or Tekken 4. I think it was Tekken 3. But when I started playing more, I came across it by chance. I had Tekken 6 I used to own, and then at one point I owned the BlazBlue Continuum Shift Extend.
Ooh.
But when I started playing more consistently, I was 15. I was like 14, 15. I started with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and from that, I spiraled downhill. I had a friend who basically like got me into the FGC a lot more. Showed me a bunch of games like BB Tag, Unique, like Under Night in Birth, Chaos Code, which is, if you want to talk about niche, Chaos Code is like the craziest niche game. I forgot, there was some other games he showed me, but I played Tekken 7 a couple of times. I played KOF 13, but it took me until BB Tag to like actually start taking games seriously in a way. And it wasn't until late of 2019, 2020 did I actually start like really investing in improvement. So BB Tag started it all. Unique Clear was something I wanted to get good at. Guilty Gear, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, I dedicated a lot of time to, almost like 2 years. Then Guilty Gear Strive is like the game that like propelled me to take fighting games seriously. From that point on, I played Central Fiction. I played Exerd Rev 2, and then from that point on, I think I'm basically in the waiting room for the new Under Night game, System Celeste. But yeah, I've had like probably, in terms of just actual like starting points, since 2015, I would say. But I had a long history of fighting games, just never playing them seriously.
Nice. So just like most consumers of fighting games right now, I did also have a very early history with fighting games. Like, first fighting game I ever played was definitely Tekken 3. And quick funny story, my brother needed a training partner that wasn't CPU, so he taught me the
partner.
Yeah, training partner. He taught me the ropes, and irony, I got better than him. The irony. He asked me to train with him because he wanted to get better to beat his classmates. And mind you, my brother is a good like 5 or 7 years older than me. And then I got better than him. And then I got better than his classmates too.
That's crazy, bro.
That's hilarious.
You went from being low, bro, to making your big bro low, bro.
Yeah. So I started with Tekken 3. I did a bit of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the Dreamcast. Yes, I was one of the few people that had a Dreamcast. Rip Sega. And then I was heavily involved in
oh, there we go.
Street Fighter 4. Yep, Street Fighter 4. The only DLC I got was Super Street Fighter 4 because after that I found it ridiculous. Like, what's next? Ultimate Ultra Street Fighter 4 Championship World Warrior Edition? Fucking bullshit.
Then it happened. Yeah,
then it actually happened. And then MVC 3, played a shit ton of that, including UMVC 3. That was a period of time for sure. Like, I wasn't fighting locals or anything, but even just playing against CPUs in MVC was really, really, really fucking fun. Elena healing. Yes, Xiaoyun healing. My god, I would love Helena in Street Fighter 6. I'd love to see how fucking dope she would be with the drive rush, dude. Fucking
don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
We'll see. Only time will tell. But anyway, of course, as someone who started with Tekken, I did play every Tekken title after 3. Later on, I did try Tekken 1 and 2 just to see how janky the game was before. And that's when I discovered that King had a plus 1000 frame move on block. Literally on block. Let's see what else. Around college, I did get into
Xiaoyun, I would recommend you calm that down. This is not my chat.
Hell yeah. I mean, everyone would want to see that cake, but man, like, not gonna lie, given how stylish SF6, you gotta admit, you are curious with how she would look in SF6. I'd love to see that.
if Cammy and Chun-Li are any sort of
To
representation
go by,
of what could,
yeah,
yeah,
like
we're
we're
set.
gonna be
We're
we're gonna
set.
be yeah we're good. I'm optimistic. But yeah, Blaze Blue Continuum Shift. I'm like, wow, this. I don't know if people will agree with me because again, like, I own the only Guilty Gear game I played before Strive was Xrd, and a little bit of Plus R. But when I played Blaze Blue, I'm like, huh, this is a little bit easier question mark than Blaze Blue. I'm not sure if people will say no, it wasn't. It was harder. No, or yeah, it was easier. I don't know, but I will say it was hella fun to play Continuum Shift. That was the only Blaze Blue I played though. And then Tekken 7. Oh my goodness, Tekken 7 just swallowed my fighting game time. I was not interested in any other fighting game outside of Tekken 7. And of course, now in the modern era of fighting games, I did play a lot of Strive. I did play a handful of Type Lumina. I also played a good amount of Dragon Ball Fighters before COVID happened.
Yes, the big vid.
The big vid. And of course, Street Fighter 6, now that that's out, I have been not even knee deep. I think I'm practically neck deep in Street Fighter 6. So
You are
fucking
drowning.
good. I fucking love Street Fighter 6.
I can't get over your geef. I can't get over it.
No,
I
how
can't get over you
stupid my
playing
geef is.
Nah, brother, I have never seen a man like drive rush 3 times in a row just to crit critical art.
I mean, it works, dude. I
It's
know
so
geef is
stupid,
I know
man.
geef is shit, but guess what? I'm gonna have fun with this shit.
No, he's not shit. It's just people are trash. Snake Eyes should let you know.
What?
No, he's not bad. It's just people are trash.
People are
Snake Eyes has
trash.
proven.
Very, very true.
Brother has won 2 majors with grapplers
I
that
remember.
were considered bottom.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
I find it so funny, bro. Like Snake Eyes did the impossible and won majors with both Potemkin and with Geef.
Yes, and also one of my favorites was like in one of Jay Wong's latest videos. He was like doing online matches and he came across Snake Eyes. And what did Snake Eyes do? Drive Rush fucking Siberian Express. I'm like, OD Siberian Express too. I'm like, oh my god, you did not just do that to J1.
Snake Eyes is just different, bro. What can I say? Snake Eyes is different.
Yeah, Snake Eyes is
Snake
just
Eyes
built.
is ridiculous.
Yeah. So yeah, those are what me and Kappa have played in terms of like what fighting games have we played. So yes, we are we have quite the storied history with fighting games. Unlike most people in the modern era, I would say. I would consider like a lot of maybe those who are in the same mindset as me and Kappa, we probably don't see it. But if you look at the big picture, it's quite alarming in a good way. It's quite alarming in a good way how many like non-fighting game veterans are getting into fighting games right now. It's alarming in a very good way, of course, but we'll get more into that.
Yeah.
All right, second question. Are you particularly loyal to one fighting game or franchise, or do you enjoy many of them equally?
I like to say a mix of both, but it's like I don't particularly stay loyal to a game out of just the desire to just be like, oh no, this is the game. No, it's just a game is so fun, or it just has a character that I really love, and the gameplay just feels so nice that, you know, some days I'll just rotate. Like obviously my main game is Strive, but like there'll be days where I will just play Essential Fiction, or if friends are playing, I'll play Rev 2. And then there'll be the off chance where it's like, all right, maybe I want to pick up fighters. So like, it's very rare, but I'll pick it up maybe one time just to fuck around. But right now, in terms of primary games, I know Unisk is going to be my next thing because I love Under Night. I've been hoping for years to get something with that, and I did.
And yeah,
And
you finally
now-
got it.
Yeah, and it's going to come out in January, so I can't wait. But
Like,
Strive is my main game right now.
All due respect,
Essential
when I
Fiction is
saw
a nice
that
pocket.
announcement, Like when I saw that announcement about Eunice, I'm like, oh dear.
Brother.
Next time we see Kappa, the only thing that will come out of his mouth is Eunice, 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 Eunice,
Brother,
hated Eunice. I'm
no,
like,
no, you don't understand.
I do understand, dude.
No,
Don't get me
no,
wrong.
no.
I do understand because even I didn't shut up about Tekken 8. But dude, when,
Zhao Yun
when
is right.
Eunice
Zhao Yun
was
is so right.
when released, I'm like, oh dear.
The floodgates.
Yeah, the literal floodgates, dude.
No, Zhao Yun is correct though. Zhao Yun is so right. For years, I've been on that that under night copium for fucking 3 years.
Would you compare it to Sheikah Johnny Copium?
No, worse.
Worse
Because
worse.
no, because
Okay.
I actively went
Damn.
on Twitter and I said, whose ass do I have to kiss? Whose ego do I have to stroke? Whose dick do I have to suck for under night rollback, bro?
Oh my goodness.
No, let me tell you, when I was at Evo and they announced Under Night, literally I was like, okay, my goal, hopefully by grand finals, French Bread announce Under Night. I'll lose. If they don't, I'm gonna cry. First day in,
You cried.
hour 2, they already had Under Night unveiled, and I was on the verge of tears. I screamed my heart out.
Like, is this real? Am I dreaming? Am I
No,
dead?
I quite literally was on my hands and knees when the Lord came. I quite literally was on my hands and knees. I was about to cry, dude, for years.
This can't be real.
You know, it's funny too because Zhao Yun called me from.
Oh my god.
And he's like, "Bro, did you know Under Night just got unveiled?" No fucking shot. And I ran back to the Under Night, like the Arc System booth, all the art, all the things, and on top of that, we got to play a demo. So, I got to have the best experience of my life, and it was only an hour 2. But to answer your question right now, like the way I have it right now is I have Strive as my main game, and then I have Blaze Blue Central Fiction as my secondary,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have on occasion, if I want to, I'll play Rev 2 as a pocket.
Mm-hmm.
But on the off chance that I do get to play with someone who has a decent connection, I'll play Under Night.
Oh. Okay. There. Well, me personally, I know it's kind of unfair, but it's really the best way I can describe it. But like, I'm not like a one fighting game Andy, but I'd be lying if I said I'm not loyal to a particular fighting game. And me personally, that has to be Tekken. Like, Tekken is literally in my DNA, to the point where even if I play another fighting game that isn't similar to Tekken at all, which is not many, because Tekken quite literally has a monopoly on the subgenre of fighting games, which is 2D, 3D. And yeah, even if Tekken 8 wouldn't have a better netcode, I'd still buy it, but I'd be really pissed if it didn't. Other than that, though, I do play a lot of fighting games. I do play, like, I did play Street Fighter. Like, nowadays I do play Street Fighter. I used to play a lot of Strive, even DNF Duel, Type Lumina when it came out and stuff. So yeah, like, I do enjoy dabbling in a handful of fighting games. I think the only fighting game recently that I did skip out on was Mortal Kombat 1. But yeah, I did forget to mention that I did used to play Mortal Kombat. The last Mortal Kombat game I played was 11, and I did enjoy that thoroughly. But yeah, in terms of like fighting game loyalty or bias, I'd say Tekken is my bias. I'm really, really loyal to Tekken. However, it is also a double-edged sword because I'm loyal to Tekken, I will fucking nitpick the shit out of Tekken, of its flaws and everything, because I want Tekken to be really fucking good. All right. Question number 3 on the docket. Have you made fighting game tier lists based on strength or the typical fighting game tier list? So not like a funny meme tier list where, like, I remember Blue made a tier list for Street Fighter 6 of characters based on their cake or their ass. So yeah, did you ever make a conventional tier list, Kappa? Okay, I think Kappa's handling something IRL. Let's wait for him.
Oh, I forgot to unmute. Fuck.
Oh, there you go.
I pressed the button on accident. All right, so what's it called? In terms of conventional lists like character strengths and whatnot, no. I have never really done that much because I don't really believe in that. I just kind of do things, but I have made a list of my personal thoughts on certain matchups, like how I feel about certain matchups in regards to like certain seasons. I've only done it like twice, but I have done that. I've also done I've done OST tier lists of like character themes as well as just themes in general. But in terms of like tier lists on this character is good, this character is not, whatever. I have not done that. The only time I've ever talked about character strength, in a sense, is when it comes to my mains or the characters I've played from a plethora of other fighting games. And I would say it's a really healthy mix of like absolute demons versus just some of the more underutilized picks or undervalued, basically, because their character strength is not that great.
Okay. Well, me personally, I have never made an actual fighting game tier list in terms of like character strength and whatnot. I mean, because me personally, like, the only tier that matters to me is fun. And even then, like, I never made a fun tier list because I understand that that's very subjective. Some people will find, like, I don't know, what's the lamest character you can think of?
Zato.
Okay. Some people will find Zato. Some people will find Zato very boring to play, but some people will find Zato like incredibly fun to play. So it's very subjective, and I respect that. But that is the only kind of tier list I would ever make if I did make one. So yeah, I never really did. However, I am very much aware that they do exist, and how, depending on your tier list and depending on your level of clout, that can be a landmine or a safe haven for discussion. Most of the time, it's the prior, though.
Yeah, it's usually always up for discussion, and it usually never ends up with anyone having any good productive conversation. It's always a matter of, oh, you're bullshitting or you're downplaying or whatever the fuck.
Yep.
Yeah, it's such a really off thing. I don't really care about the tier lists, and I think the biggest problem with the tier lists as well is the fact that it's all sparked from opinion anyway. So when people start to take these to face value, it starts to become a walking landmine, because while tier lists do give a generalized an idea of how players view certain characters, I don't trust them, purely because this is the type of concept that put Nagaryuki bottom 3 at one point.
Yeah.
Yep. Remember that, children. And they also put Happy Chaos at mid. And at one point, Jacko was ass. Remember that, children.
So yeah, like that's why you can, that's something I do agree on also. Like, a lot of these strength and weakness tier lists are usually, no, I'm not saying all, okay? I just want to clarify. Usually, they lack a lot of information. Like, if someone makes a tier list, like, this is my benchmark, right? If someone makes a tier list of a fighting game on day one of its release, I am very skeptical. I wait for at least a month or at most 3 weeks for like a tier list to be like, okay, this sounds plausible or kind of accurate. But if someone releases a tier list on day one, I don't think that's like remotely accurate. 2 months for me, that is very, very patient of you and very, very reliable, actually. Like, yeah, 2 months is the best in my opinion, but for me, like, at earliest, if someone releases something 1 month, 3 weeks after its release, I think it's fairly accurate at least. Or at worst, up to discussion at worst. But it's not like that's, yeah, it's debatable. Not even at worst, that's bullshit. That's my benchmark. Yeah. Okay. Following question after that. Do you think, now because we were talking about tier lists and you mentioned that you know, player feedback and whatever, right? Now, this is something that I really think people should ask themselves. Do you think fighting game developers should take player feedback seriously when they balance a game, or should they base it on their own vision and their own experience?
This one is kind of a mixed one. This is actually like a really hard one because while I do believe that a lot of the time developers should just trust their instincts and allow themselves to just do what's necessary for their own game, because, you know, again, developers, they're the developers, they have a vision and they want to complete it as best they can. But in the same vein, I think the biggest problem with some developers, including like niche ones and big ones too, is the fact that a lot of the time, because of how old, like how outdated some of these philosophies are, I think community feedback is important. Granted, not all feedback is going to be productive, nor is it going to be helpful. But I think in general, we're so far past the outdated way of thinking where where developers just kind of throw darts on a board and just basically do whatever sticks. And because, again, we're at a point in time where balance is such an important thing, and patches are so frequent now that we need to take some level of feedback. But we have to also be considerate of the fact that certain feedback is really, really not helpful if the feedback in question is just buff this character, nerf that character, change this to be this way. Because a lot of the time when it opens to community feedback, you don't have just high-level players talking. And oftentimes high-level players ask for something, and, you know, it can have only affect them. And then it starts to make it worse for other players. So you have to strike a balance between beginner, intermediate, and high-level players. And not only that, you have to make it accessible for the general consumer. If you're just catering to one or two things, it makes the game feel stale. It makes the game feel like it's watered down. And worst of all, you can have a situation like with Overwatch where they cater too much to the high-level players that screws over the entire player base. Or worse, you can have devs say they're making a community patch, and then the community patch notes literally drop, and no one fucking asked for anything on that. That was literally what Dragon Ball FighterZ did. The dev team were on crack when they made that last patch. They did not take any feedback. What community did they ask for these changes? Because these changes were so goddamn dumb that the community had to sit there like, what the fuck did we get?
Okay.
What is this game now?
You and Jayan mentioned that, and from someone who is very out of the loop, can you give me a TLDR?
All right, let me put it to you this way.
Yeah.
So imagine this, right? So in the span of its life cycle, Dragon Ball FighterZ has gone through many different changes, both in system mechanics, character specifics, and just overall structure.
Yeah.
And the way that, let me put it to you this way. So Broly, it was considerably one of the strongest characters in the game because he was a grappler with good movement, the same health as everybody else. And on top of that, he also had great zoning and had anti-zoning tools and armor. But the thing he struggled with is that he was very assist dependent. The team relied around him needing assists in order to get the best out of him because he had no mid-screen to full screen conversions. The latest patch fixed all his problems, so now he no longer is meter reliant or reliant on his team. He's literally a battery, which goes against the very structure of why he was played the way he was. You needed to build a team around him. But now you could just say, fuck it, we ball, and just throw him into anywhere. And then worst of all, they give GT Goku, which one of his special moves is just the reverse Kamehameha, and it travels.
Okay.
They gave that shit guard point.
What?
Why? Yeah, they gave it guard point just for no fucking reason. And the worst part is it has Yang semblance level guard point. You press it, and if anything interacts with it, it'll stop it, but it will not end it. You will not interrupt it unless you get the later part of the attack. But if you get it early to mid, they are eating that shit like breakfast. The only thing that beats it is anti-air command grabs and supers.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, that's not even the worst of it. They buffed the most broken character in that game again. Lab Coat 21.
What?
Yeah, they buffed her. Yeah, again, what community asked for this?
I just said, what community were they listening to?
The funniest part is, like, out of all that, they not only did that happen, but like the community patch dropped, and this was like after Evo too. Basically, Yasha won Evo with Android 17, Vegito, and I believe Gogeta, right? What did they do? Like, because the grand finals was a mirror match. What did they do? His whole team got buffed. Best team in the game got buffed.
What the fuck?
Yep, they buffed his team, and for a month straight, we were asking Yasha, "Are you piping the lead developer?" Because there's no shot your whole team gets buffed like that without you going near that bedroom. I'm sorry. Yeah, but long story short, it's hard to find a balance because you could go through the whole process of like balancing a game and balancing characters, but sometimes you can make changes that ultimately ruin a game, ruin a character, or ruin the systems. And you can have a case like Happy Chaos, who breaks the rules of the game.
Yep.
Or you have characters like Launch Faust, who quite literally just could not play the game. He was virtually unplayable.
My goodness. Well, my one experience with that, Tekken, was fucking Geese and Akuma.
Oh god,
ironically,
you don't have to explain that, but yeah.
Ironically, both of them are not even Tekken characters. They are guest characters in Tekken 7. Now here's the thing. There is a delicate balance. Like, you don't just take every feedback as a developer and put it in writing. Like, yeah, we should listen to this. No. That's like if someone said that they should give Law Dragon Cannon. Sorry, Sheikah. Yeah, I'm indirectly calling you out. They should give Dragon Cannon Power Crush. I'm like, no. Sorry. No, it doesn't have. No, it does have Power Crush. No, it should have Clean Hit. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It fucking doesn't. Because for one, it is a mid Power Crush move as it is, and it is a standard like wall ender, which fucking hurts. And you want to give that shit Clean Hit? It's not easy to sidestep either. It's a lot faster than Death Fist. So yes, you have to be aware of like character bias from people who are giving feedback. Don't forget Launch Leroy. Yes, exactly. Very good point there. Launch Leroy Fak and Lydia was busted. If anything, out of those three, Xiao, Lydia was the most balanced out of those three. She was at best OP. Like, the most busted move she had was the political punish. But outside of that, most people found her meh, but only meh in comparison to Leroy and Fak. So let that sink in. And remember, there was an Evo. Yes, Evo Japan, but still Evo nonetheless.
Oh
top
my God, I remember
8,
this one.
7 Leroys in top 8. Not a single one of them was a Leroy main, and one of them was a fucking Jin main. The best Jin of Southeast Asia, I consider. Book. Fucking Book, who is a very well-known Jin main, picked Leroy and win. And what did he say at the end? Just pick Leroy. I'm like, oh my god, that is so sad to hear. On one end, as a competitor, no shit. If I was allowed to bring a gun to a boxing match, I'll fucking do it. It's legal. People may not like it, but it's legal. That was basically the equivalent of bringing a gun to a boxing match, and they were allowed.
The game was rigged from the start.
The game was rigged from the start. You picked your last main, boyo. Thing is, the game was rigged from the start. Back 2 as Leroy. Like, yeah, just get launched to hell. Like, half your health gone with very little execution difficulty.
Let's also not forget auto parry.
Oh my god. Auto low parry and like frame one parry that also parries fucking fucking rage arts, dude. Not many parries in the game can do that, but for some reason Leroy's can. Bro, what the hell? But anyway, my whole point, right, is that when people called for like nerfs about Geese and Akuma, there is a point where, again, Kappa mentioned, as a developer, you have your own vision and design for what a character or what a game should be. And don't get me wrong, unlike some entitled people out there, I completely respect and understand that. But if there are enough people complaining about a specific character, you got to listen to them. You have to pick out which ones are biased and which ones are clearly out of frustration, and which ones like really want what's best for the game. It took way too fucking long for them to actually nerf or even fix Akuma. What do I mean by nerf or fix? Like, as if it's two different things. Yeah, there are two different things. Look, they nerfed a lot of Akuma's buttons. Like, that was good. It took a while. Took way too fucking long. But they did fix that. Now, here's another thing. What I mean by fix. There is a reason why everyone calls Howard Estate Coward Estate. If you want to win, you pick that stage. Why? Especially as Akuma. Here's the thing. Generally, Howard Estate, or as I said, how they call it, Coward Estate, benefits every single character. Every single character. Even if you're someone like King, who is a grappler in a game that doesn't really have a quote-unquote grappler, because he can break out of throws. He will still benefit from Coward Estate because of his wall carries. Like, King has very decent wall carry as a grappler archetype. But Akuma, you see, Akuma has a glitch. An actual glitch, okay? Actual glitch. Where he can reset a wall splat for full damage. And he can do this over and over and over again. Now, people from the outside are like, why is that bad? Like, he's just resetting for some damage. Okay, here's the thing. Tekken 7 has a mechanic. Not many people know this. The more hits you have on a character, now because Tekken is a combo-heavy juggle game, not like Guilty Gear Strive or Street Fighter, Tekken, you will be juggling characters like it's basically ultimate hacky sack, but the hacky sack is the person you're playing against, okay? Now here's the thing. The more hits you have in a combo, the next hit will make them travel further. Why is that? Because they don't want people to juggle people for infinity and beyond. It's not fun. Infinites are not fun in general. That's why most games that have an infinite, ergo look at ICs in Smash, generally they ban that because it counts as an exploit and it's just not fun to watch or even fight against. Now, this is not Smash, I'm talking about Tekken. So anyway, like I said, like after about 8 or 9 hits, practically on your 10th hit, a jab will send them flying that your 11th hit is not gonna hit. Your 11th attack is not gonna hit because they want you to stop juggling. Now, because Akuma can reset, guess what? What else resets? That anti-infinite combo mechanic. Meaning the travel distance is also reset. So, on a stage that has 3 breakable walls with the last wall ending on a balcony break, Akuma can basically send you from Tekken all the way to Street Fighter with his glitchy ass wall splat reset. And they never ever fucking fixed it. They never did. They never fixed it.
It's still there.
It's still there. And again, it baffles me because I'm like, I'm not on the same level as, say, I'm not on the same level as Main Man Sui, King J, like, or Fergus 2K, or even Super Akuma, but even I know that glitch. Now, I don't know if they really don't know this glitch, which I highly doubt, or the most likely thing, Harada's pride. Like, Harada is literally, don't ask me for shit. Like, dude, I get it. I absolutely get that you have a vision and you're gonna follow through with it till the end. But
Harada's real short IRL. I met him. Bro is short IRL.
I mean, when Max was reacting to the Geese DLC announcement, like, he was taller than Harada. I'm like, wow, okay. But
bro, I mean, I think the reason why is because bro, it's hard it's hard trying to maintain height when your balls hang as heavy as they do, like Harada's does. So I think his height deficiency can be placed down to my nuts are heavy, hold that.
I mean, probably. But basically, yes,
Yeah.
my entire point again, and this is just one game that I was on a tangent about. Like, again, there has to be a point as a developer where it is a tightrope, delicate balance where you have your vision, stick to it, okay? Because if we look at Street Fighter 6 right now, right, we mentioned this earlier, you look at the trash tier characters that everyone has been saying that is trash tier. Zangief. Me personally, I'm not hardcore. I enjoy Zangief, but I agree, like, he needs a buff. Definitely needs a buff. But thing is, I don't know exactly how to buff this guy because I don't know the vision that Street Fighter 6 or Capcom has for Zangief. But I do know he needs a buff. I do know, however, Manon, I know what kinds of buff she needs. Her anti-air is shit in particular. If there's one thing she needs a buff on, it's that fucking move. So a lot of people also say that. So there are enough people complaining about Manon's anti-air. So focus on that as a developer. Like, is it really that bad? Then you go to your studio or whatever development studio, test that shit out, and you're like, oh, actually, you know what? They have a point. So maybe we will consider this on the next patch. See, like, that is a good, like, way to, like, we don't want Manon because she's like, she's a more flexible kind of grappler compared to Zangief. She's not gonna grab you for days. She will set up for the grabs. But yeah, we can't have her anti-air be really fucking good. But then again, they kinda, that was their vision. But they didn't see what was happening to players like us where, like, how is it that Lariat is very consistent in challenging someone in the air, but sometimes as fucking Manon, I will do my anti-air very, like, on time, but sometimes I get traded. And I'm like, this is an anti-air, right? How is an anti-air trading or sometimes even losing against air moves? And of course, because of the modding community, we found out why. Because of the hitbox mod, we found out she doesn't have a low hitbox when she does it. And I'm like, excuse me? What? Then this is not an anti-air move. It's good against people in the air, but it's not an anti-air move. It's not. It simply isn't.
It's just a way to play air, like, just to stuff people out of the air, but not to anti-air specifically.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, like, here's the thing though. I'm not saying make it a DP. No, absolutely not. Never give a grappler a DP. Why? Because they can just wake up, DP, and then from Oki, they'll grab your ass. No,
Imagine
I don't want.
with volcanic.
Yeah, yeah, basically. But yeah, see, I'm not gonna go that far. Like, I love Manon, but I am not that biased. Like, I'm not that, like, yeah, buffer to oblivion. No, absolutely not. Fix her problems, but don't make her busted. No one likes a busted character, except those who made that character, of course.
The only way a grappler could ever have a reversal is if they tie it to a grab.
Yes,
that's
if they
the
tie it
only
to a
way that
grab.
could work.
And there are specifics. I mean, technically, Manon's strike throw, OD, is invincible against upper body moves and projectiles. That's the best you can get, and I think that's pretty good because there is travel time, and it requires 2 bars of OD, which is quite expensive in Street Fighter 6. But anyway, the main point of this question was really to drive the point, right? That developers, especially in the modern era, they really have to listen to player feedback. And that's where I will stop, right? I didn't say they have to take it and work with it. No, listen to the player feedback. Just listen to the player feedback and then make your decisions from there, all right? because again, it is not easy. I respect fighting game developers because fighting games, balancing in a fighting game is like quantum physics, okay? Like, you can see data, you can see numbers, but how you interpret that and come up with a solution is fucking difficult. So it's not easy work. But you have to gather data first before you do something that will solve a problem. If all you're doing is that we have a vision, we think this works, it just works. No, it doesn't.
I have a point to also make as well. This could tie beyond just character balance and whatnot. The funny part is, like, when it comes to community feedback, we can even bring up the fact that player feedback is really important for other things outside of just gameplay. I think the biggest thing that's important too is to highlight, especially in the case of Guilty Gear Strive, and something that we've been begging for years for them to handle, like just functionality, really. And the fact that we've had the issue with the Hacker Man, we've been begging for the last 2 years to deal with that, and only now have we gotten an update to try and attempt to improve the security so that the Hacker Man can no longer exploit that. And I'm assuming that's going to be something that's going to be implemented across all their games that have a D code, R code, whatever the hell. Because this has been going on for so long, and server DDoSing is a problem, connectivity issues occur, network disconnections happen. It's like that sort of feedback we need, we have to give, and it's something that developers should at least consider more seriously, because we're not just throwing this out of the way. And the fact Arc System took this long to acknowledge it, and for one of the lead developers to actually tell us, yeah, you know what, we understand and we're sorry for the lack of communication, we're trying our best here.
It took way too long. A lot of people just jumped ship. I jumped ship because of that.
Yeah, and that's the worst part. It's like, if you could communicate that you're trying, if you could try and establish some line of communication, cool. But the fact that we got no communication, and then on top of that, one time we did get communication, they did basically put it down as a non-human issue. That really pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah. And also to drive the point home, right? Like, there was, for weeks, people have been complaining about a specific thing in Street Fighter 6, where most supers are double motion and then a button. So double quarter circle forward, double quarter circle back, double 360, and then a button for a super. All right. Now here's the thing, and Blue unfortunately was a victim to this so many times. As Manon, a move that most people will use on neutral because it is very safe and it is a good checking tool is quarter circle back heavy kick. It's an overhead, reaches really far, and very safe. Now, when you are playing neutral, sometimes you're gonna do the Street Fighter 6 shimmy, right? You don't want to get your ass back to the wall, but you also don't want your opponent poking you randomly, and because you were moving forward, you take free damage. So you're moving back and forth, right? back and forth, but you're also doing crouch because sometimes they might throw a low. So if you do that, you are doing crouch back. So you're gonna duck, right? You're just gonna duck because you want to stop moving, but you're not gonna block because you want to get ready to move, right? Now here's the thing. If you duck and then you duck back and then you see your opponent moving forward and you decide to move backward, what did you just do, Kappa?
You just did the fireball or Tatsu motion.
You did the Tatsu motion. Now, what if as you were moving back, you want to check your opponent? So you do a quarter circle back heavy kick. What did you just do?
You just did a special move.
You just did a super, a level 2 super that is punishable to oblivion. I have fought Blue so many times as Manon, and when he does that, I'm like, homie stock. I won't punish that because I'm like, I am so far. Like, I'm all the way in Tekken with how far I am from Blue's Manon, like full screen, and he does that. Like, that was definitely a mistake. Like, no way. Yeah, no fucking way.
the biggest criticism is that input interpreter.
And guess
you don't,
what?
Like,
They
people don't
fixed
realize
it. They actually fixed it. They reduced the time between double inputs for a super. That means that to do a super, which means situations like that will happen less. Did they know about this? Obviously they didn't, because it was a thing since launch. But because more and more people discovered this problem, they were like, okay, this is a problem. We need to fix this. Guess what? They fixed it. And very quickly, I might add, this was before their second DLC character was released, but this problem was an issue even before their first DLC character was released. So it was a very well-known problem, but it did not take them a fucking eternity like Guilty Gear Strive took with their Hackerman problem. And to highlight that problem, not the same problem, but a problem that Guilty Gear had, which literally killed all of my energy and hype for that game, I want to ask Kappa if he remembers. What is my worst, like the biggest problem I have with Guilty Gear Strive when it comes to matchmaking?
Disconnections,
What disconnection in particular?
rage quitting, and on top of that, network desyncing.
Not even. The worst problem for me, I queue against someone, and then the notification I get, failed to connect to player. I'm like,
Oh,
how the fuck does that work? I just
I
fought
remember
someone
that
before. Now this person wants to fight me on this station, failed to connect to player. I try again, failed to connect to player. I change character, failed to connect to player. I change stations, failed to connect to player. I'm like, I just played with somebody else. Why is this a thing?
Yeah,
And with
that
the
was
new-
that was a horrible time.
With a new patch, with the new mechanics, I'm like, oh my god, what is this energy I feel? I feel like I want to play Strive now. Then I go to the online matchmaking lobbies for ladders. Guess what's the first thing I encountered? Not a match. Failed to connect to player. The moment I saw that, I'm like, they still haven't fixed this?
Yeah,
They still haven't fixed this. This is an older problem than the Hackerman problem, and this is not even fixed on their new patch with all the new toys. And I don't get to use the toys. So what happened? My hype and my determination to play this game was killed dead in the water, and I'm like, I'm going back to Street Fighter 6. And I'm so sad about that. Like, bruh.
Yeah, sometimes little things, just people underestimate how much the little things can just absolutely kill a person's desire to play the game.
Yeah.
I mean, for Christ's sake, like me falling ill the way I have killed my desire to play Street Fighter 6, and I have not played since then. And you know, something as simple as this game doesn't have a character I vibe with, I'm not playing. Can kill your game enthusiasm.
Yeah. And again, like, if there's one old saying from a game developer, said it best. This game has to be fun before it's pretty. Is it fun whenever I want to play against someone? Fail to connect to player. No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Street Fighter 6's matchmaking is, while region locked, it still has better matchmaking.
It has way better matchmaking.
Yeah.
Like, the worst kinds of disconnects I've had were rage quits, but even those are very few and far between. Ironically, probably because I don't play Zangief anymore, maybe, or can. But anyway, like, that's basically my point. Like, developers need to listen more.
And be
Because
more
there
considerate
are-
of the community.
Because again, it's a win-win situation, because what do they get from listening to their player base? They'll discover problems they never even thought was there, or they never found. Like, yeah, Strive needed to fix their lobby first. That's what everyone has been saying, Zhao. Everyone has been saying, you need to fix your lobby first. What did they focus on instead? Balancing and new features.
Yeah, it's
They needed a drawing board of like priorities. They needed to draw that on a board and work it from top to bottom. Now here's the thing. They don't need, like, I understand that you have to keep the hype for a game, like, because fighting games are in a blurred line of like, release this, it's done, or live service. It's somewhere in between. As a live service game, you do not want to spend every patch just fixing hotfix, hotfix, hotfix. No, we want new content. Fighting games are somewhere there, so you want to fix the game but regularly add stuff. We get that. But even if, given that, you cannot let a problem like the Hacker Man and the fail to connect the player be a thing on day one and still be a thing 2 years after release. Like, that is dumb and just sad. Like, really fucking sad for those who genuinely enjoy your game, dude. Plus R has better lobby and matchmaking. That's ironic. And guess what? Strive may look prettier, but I guess it's not as fun as Plus R. I mean, there you go. All right, we're gonna take a quick 5-minute intermission. I'm gonna bring my lunch out, then I'm gonna have a quick chat with Kappa. And of course, for those who are in the chat, please feel free to leave any questions that you want regarding this topic, and we will answer it during intermission and after. So Kappa, just give me like a minute or so. I gotta take my trash out.
Yeah, I gotta do something real fast too. So
All right.
you and I are both in the same boat. All right.
I have returned. How do you feel about Idol Showdown and how quickly they fixed the game issue in just like 24 hours? Ironic is what I'd call it, Zhao, because Idol Showdown is literally a fan community-made game. Fan-made community game, and guess what they were doing on day one? They were checking out people's streams, literally taking live feedback, even from the voices of the characters themselves. I remember, like, one of the most viral clips, right? Shishiro Botan was complaining about her in-game voice. Like, she was like, developer son, if you want me to make some voice clips, please just let me know. And she was giving them voice clips live to, like, work with, and guess what? They patched it in really fast. And again, this is not some AAA company. It's an indie, like, fan community made game. And they solved issues faster than most AAA companies nowadays. That is just fucking cool and sad at the same time.
It's asinine, really. It's just kind of insane that it takes. Why do indie companies with much less money, with virtually no budget,
and a much smaller team? Don't forget that one killer part of smaller, weaker manpower.
And they get it done properly by comparison.
Just like HoloCure as well, yeah. It's very, very weird. Oh, by the way, so during this intermission, I did want to ask something of Kappa. Like, what are your thoughts on Aki?
Aki, people saying she's ugly are fucking.
People said she's ugly? What?
Yeah, they said she's ugly, and I'm gonna be real with you. Y'all just have awful taste. She is she is very gorgeous to me. No, hold on. I would do unspeakable
They
things
need to
Aki.
touch. They need to touch grass, man. I think these
I
are the
would do
same people that said
unspeakable
Cammy.
things to
I think
Aki.
it's the same kind of people who said Cammy looks uglier in Street Fighter 6, and I'm just like, huh?
I'm sorry. Aki had me acting up and acting horribly unwise.
Maybe smaller team, smaller chain of command. That is definitely something that is definitely true. Yes, but it's still not like an excuse for. Again,
They have the manpower and the money too. That's the crazy part.
yeah, like again, Arxis with Guilty Gear Strive. I'm just like, we have issues since day one, and 2 years later, literally season 2 ending, with a new season starting, with Johnny, and their issue is still an issue. Like what? Big company requires a lot of report and data to decide on their priority. Oh yes, I'm definitely not arguing against that. I absolutely agree with that. But if that really is the case, then that means that their organization needs an overhaul. Because with more manpower, of course, you don't want everyone taking on responsibility and burden equally, right? You want to be very efficient. If you have a team of like even just 100 people under your department, you want proper dissemination of everything as you go down the ladder. It's just much more efficient that way. For Arxis, they probably focus more on the Japanese player base. Well, then that means that is then insinuating that Japanese players are not encountering the same problems that we are, which is very, very concerning then.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, Japan didn't have these networking issues or these issues about finding like, you know how we had to take a long time to like log into servers back in the day.
Yeah.
Before they patched that.
Yeah.
Japan never had that problem.
We never had that problem either in Southeast Asia. I do know that you guys had that in America, and I'm just like, what?
It fucking sucked because our region quite literally was packed to the brim with players.
That is so weird.
Yeah, but you know, with that in mind, we have like hung on that topic and kind of derailed a little bit from it to some extent. But in general, a lot of these things are really important. And again, it all falls under like, I know we kind of went beyond like balance in terms of game balance, but there has to be a nice balance between being able to understand your community versus being able to understand your own priorities.
Yeah. Because again, like, Unagi, I completely get the point that you're trying to make, because there are so many people out there that are very like, oh, it's so easy. Like, no, it's not. It's not easy to fix this issue. Like, even a problem that we have been complaining about with Guilty Gear Strive, right? With the fail to connect to player issue. Like, clearly it is a difficult problem if it's been taking them 2 years and it's still a problem. But for a game that is not exactly cheap, and it's a big company,
too.
it's Arxis, and like, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm just like, it can't be this hard for a problem like this to almost not improve at all 2 years after this game released, and if anything, got worse. I'm just like, what is going on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
So again, I'm not the type to immediately assume that they are money grubbing and they don't give a shit. No, I'm pretty sure they do give a shit. I'm very optimistic, and I always give developers benefit of the doubt, because again, video games are mainstream as shit now. It's no longer a niche, and the demand for better video games, the standards, is way, way fucking high. But that also comes with the price tag. The lower the price tag, the lower the expectations. The higher the price tag, the higher the expectations. Do Japanese players encounter this problem? That I am not entirely sure. But the thing is, most people play in the Japanese towers when they are in Asia, and I still encounter that problem. Like, it is a very well-known problem. And if anything, I think it's worse in NA. I think it's worse in NA. If people are fighting in the America region ladders, I'm pretty sure they encountered the fail to connect the player just as often or even way more often than we do.
Yeah, it happens from time to time. It's not as frequent as it used to be, but like then again, a majority of the player base plays East Coast servers because that's where all the players go.
Yep, they always play in one particular servers. I mean, like, yeah, like even those in Southeast Asia, we don't play in the Southeast Asian towers. We play in the Japan. We play in the Japan towers 'cause everyone goes there. If you want to improve and shit, that's really where you go.
Yeah, East Coast is where all our best players fight.
And this is where communication comes in, Unagi. Like, even if it takes a long time, we would be less noisy and less frustrated if they communicated, like, even a simple article from Arxis, like, we are aware of fail to connect the player issue, and we are working on it. Even as simple as something like that would really temper people's frustration a lot. Even, and technically they didn't even do anything. Technically they wouldn't be doing anything. They will say that we are working on it and we are aware of it. Even something like that would be great. I know Venta and Siege are trying to get people to play in the C server. Have they encountered issues? I really hope they haven't, because it's gonna be really sad if Venta and Siege have their tournament. Again, they probably only care about Japanese player base, which is dumb. Well, that's freaking dumb.
Yeah, it kind of ruins the whole point of like an international game.
Yeah, and again, I'm just, for those who are in the chat, I'm pretty sure like Unagi's not saying they don't care, but again, it's hard to assume they don't when we see shit like this. It's like a common issue with Japanese game devs. That too. That is very, very true. That is absolutely very, very true, Unagi. It is a very common issue with most Japanese games, like especially those that have connectivity. Why is it that the Japanese servers or the Japanese end of a game has no problems, but outside it's just dog shit at worst? So I'm like, huh, that's weird. But here's the thing. It is a common issue with Japanese game devs, but more and more Japanese game devs are making sure that doesn't happen. I mean, you look at Final Fantasy XIV. When Asmongold started streaming FF14, their servers were crippled in NA. Now, if it was probably the same developers as Arxis, they probably wouldn't give a shit. But because Yoshi P is Yoshi P and he's a fucking Giga Chad, he's like, we'll fix it. We are aware of this issue. Thank you, Asmongold, for bringing World of Warcraft players to the clearly better game. Yes, that is a slight jab. No, he did not say that. But he's like, yeah, we are aware of the problem and we will work on this as soon as possible. We sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. Like, my goodness. And again, it is not a very Japanese thing to do. Out of many game devs, I'm pretty sure Unagi has made, or any of you have made this observation, a lot of Western developers openly disclose announcements about a game. Like whether it's feedback or we're sorry for this, that issue, they almost immediately like announce it, right? And again, for on the Japanese game development side, Yoshi P is the most prevalent one. During COVID, okay? During COVID, a lot of people were staying at home. So a lot of them were like, I want to interact with my friends. FF14, it's an MMO. It's one of the best ways to interact with a friend through online gaming interaction, be it through a fighting game, multiplayer game, MMO. So servers were being stressed the hell out during COVID, and Yoshi P literally put up a blog post on the FF14 page and on Twitter explaining why it's taking time for them to fix the server issues. Like that's very non-Japanese of him to do that. So yeah, like I think moving forward, also the Japanese game development mentality really needs to realize that your community exists out of your bubble. Like they really need to understand that demographic. Like it's not just Japanese players that are playing Guilty Gear or Street Fighter or any game nowadays. And literally any game nowadays, like it's not just one country that's playing it. I mean, you look at Apex Legends, for example. Suddenly, it has a dedicated Japanese community playing the hell out of that game. Thank you, VTubers. So, now we have like VTuber only tournaments and shit, and even like professional commentators are on that shit. And I'm just like, that is fucking awesome. And guess
the
what?
AI are taking over.
And guess what Respawn and EA are doing? They're not interfering. They're just, okay, you want to have fun with a game? Go ahead. That's something I wish they'd do. But yeah, like back on topic. So yeah, like Aki, I am very, very excited for Aki.
Brother. I gotta put the hood on for this one. Brother.
Like if I encounter an Aki on Mirror, I'm just gonna slither towards them just to vibe check them. Like
that's a lot. That's a mating ritual right there. Slither into that.
Slither into. No, I wouldn't say into their DMs, man. But yeah,
I would.
Round start slither. I just want to see what their vibe is.
It's crazy. I can't. Red Star Slither is so wild.
And I just find it funny again. It's voiced by freaking Faye Mata, one of my favorite VAs.
God, she's so beautiful. She's beautiful.
Yes.
I could fix her.
See, Unagi, I told you, the marketing of Capcom knew that it was people like Kappa who are like, I can fix her. They knew that, and they're like, we'll revolve our marketing around the theme that our player base will try to fix Aki. And one of their posts, careful, she's like a poison master, whatever.
One of my favorite marketing strategies.
You can't fix her, but she can fix you. I'm like, they did not just tweet that out. But no, they actually did.
The best one for me was when they announced Aki and the drop that she was gonna have. It was the fucking slither. It was just slithering. That was a godlike marketing strategy.
Oh, yes. That was so good. Both of them slithering in the same direction, too. That was hilarious.
It's amazing. And then the stage transitions. Oh, man. Fighting games are awesome.
All right. Capcom actually listens. Yes, they actually do. Unlike Arxis. Arxis, please. All right.
They had to dig themselves out of that hole.
Yeah. Pretty much. All right, let's move on to part 2. And of course, part 2 is the meatiest part of Shrine Talk. All right.
Yes.
Question 5. Right. So, let's get the other elephant out of the room, right? Have you ever played a fighting game that was considered very OP and or very weak?
Oh, fighting game or fighting game character?
Fighting game character.
Funny enough, I'm on both sides of the spectrum. I'm actually the irony too. So, let me play it this way, right? So, from the games I've played, right? So, I play Nagoriyuki since the launch of Strive. I've played Sin in Rev 2. I play Hakumen in Central Fiction, and in BB Tag I play him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Dragon Ball Fighters I play Piccolo, and then in Under Night I main Piccolo in my team, and then Under Night I play Enkidu, like I main him. Mm-hmm. So in that list, the obvious top tiers would be Nagoriyuki and Sin, but Hakumen is considered to be top 10 to an extent. So, but BlazBlue has a unique system where a lot of people think that the characters are so good, there are multiple S tiers. So there's double S, triple S, single S, you get the deal. And then there's A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And Hakumen, for the most part, is considered strong enough to either be A or at least S. So it's like, if he's and the cool thing is like he has no losing matchups because of how strong he is both on defense and offense. But you know, he has his obvious flaws. But yeah, he's strong enough to be an S tier character. So like the S tiers would be Nago, Hakumen, and Sin. And Rev 2 specifically. But like Rev 1 he was broken, but Rev 2 he's good. He's good, but he's not as broken as he used to be. But in the same vein, Piccolo's really solid. But the worst of the bunch has to be Enkidu. Enkidu is considerably bottom 3 in his own game, in the game that he's in. And he's a DLC, mind you. Or not, yeah, he's DLC. He's like part of the title update. And that character fucking sucked when he was first introduced. And then they buffed him in Clear. And he became better. But again, he is a rushdown character, which isn't a problem until you realize in a game with characters who have mid-screen to full-screen pokes and normals and other ways of projectile spamming you.
Yeah.
What does he have? Unsafe rebeat pressure, moves that are mostly minus on block, very little mix, and then on top of that, his pokes don't reach that far without getting punished. So, yeah, bottom 3. I play Nagaryuki, who's objectively the most notorious character I play, and then I play Enkidu, and I don't know why. There's just something about it. I find it funny. And for a time, you know, it was so funny because for a time people used to think Nago was bottom 3 too. Until Hotashi and Fame started playing him and started realizing, yeah, you know, you guys are kind of talking out of your ass because this character is kind of sick.
Understandable. My God, like, yeah, when you were describing Enkidu, I'm like, wait, yeah, that is a problem.
The craziest part is he has
That
a
is a
fucking
problem.
counter. He has counters, right? But his counters were shit. They're still not that great, but they're okay. And then bro has his mix is not that great, but his damage output's all right. Like, especially because his counter hit game is really damaging if he gets the hit. But here's the thing: most of the characters have fucking godlike pokes that just deal with him perfectly. And when he does get in, how long can you keep the pressure going?
True.
Yeah. He struggles heavily, but you know, when he has his benefits to him, and I love playing him no matter what.
That's very good to hear. Let's see. For this question, I'll stick to Tekken because I am a Tekken loyalist. Just so it's easier for people to grasp, I'll pick from Tekken 7. So the most busted character, the character that I did play quite a lot, and I still like, she's my go-to. She was considered very OP and also at the same time very weak because she got nerfed to the ground. Kazumi. Yeah, Kazumi. I did play a lot of Kazumi. Season 0, Season 1 Kazumi was a fucking powerhouse. Like, her pokes were just actual god tier freaking pokes for days. And then she was nerfed to the ground and she was like on a very weak compared to the entire cast, which I didn't give a shit because, again, like, I don't care because I'm having fun with this character. I don't care about her strength or anything. As a Dragon of Loyalist, oh my god, I do understand Dragon of Pain, Zhao. Especially when the fucking I saw the changes and I'm just like, when I played against those changes, I'm like, they nerfed Dragunov way too much, dude. Way too fucking much.
Man, you love to see it. You love but hate to see it.
Yes, I mean, like, Kazumi went from like one of her best moves. It's not even the best move because it hurts, but because of the versatility and the options you get from it. Her back 2. Her back 2 is a tracking move. Tracking meaning it will catch anyone sidestepping, and if they are sidestepping, they will get hit. Guaranteed. So yeah, her back two is a tracking move. Now it also works as a combo extender because it grants tailspin, and it is also not just a tracking move, it's mid, so no one can duck that. To add to that, until the later patches, it was also a wall splat. Meaning, if the opponent was back to the wall, they will be splatted on the wall for a full wall combo. And to add to that, I just realized I'm saying a lot of that. To add to that, when you got hit, you did the ballerina spin, which means that she's very plus after that. If any move does a ballerina spin on the opponent, you are very plus. Like, you have to respect what your opponent is doing after you get ballerina spinned. So what did they do? They nerfed that shit to oblivion. It is still safe on block, it still tracks, but it no longer does the ballerina spin, it no longer wall splats, it's still a tailspin. But yeah, they removed a lot of the best things about that move. And they also nerfed her fly 2, which I think was one of the dumbest nerfs they ever did to her, because I'm like, it's already duckable. And don't get me wrong, making it minus on block is fair. A lot of highs shouldn't be punishable on block, but this one launches, so it gets a pass. And it's a high launcher, so okay, makes sense that you want to make it minus and punishable. And the worst part, the worst nerf of it, like the fact that they made it even more punishable on block. I'm like, okay, it's a launcher, so okay. I don't use it every time, but okay, it makes sense. But the worst nerf, in my opinion, was they drastically reduced the vertical launching of that move mid combo. And what did that do? That literally eliminated her high damage route for a lot of characters. And I'm just like, this combo is already high execution and you want to just remove it? And worst of all, I'm like, they already nerfed her damage. Like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't against nerfing Kazumi's damage. If anything, I support it. Because she's very low execution. She has a very versatile and very solid neutral toolkit in a game that's very neutral heavy. So nerf her damage, yes, absolutely. They could have reduced the damage of Fly 2, her launcher, starting combo and mid combo. I wouldn't have cared. I would have agreed. And I do agree. But the one thing I did not agree was the vertical reduction. That eliminated like her optimal max damage combo route. And the max damage combo route is not easy to do. It's very, very difficult. And compared to other people, like, who have max damage combo routes, it's not that big a deal. Like, the amount of damage it does. Like, it's not something you'll scoff at, but it's not something like you're really fucking super worried about. Because most people will just use the optimized route instead of the max damage route. So yeah, like, and then after that they nerfed even more of her moves, and I'm just like, wow, you guys really don't want people to pick Kazumi anymore. And then there's Feng Wei. There's there's fucking Feng Wei. The shoulder. The motherfucking shoulder. Like, he was just eating since season 1, but because Feng is not that popular a character, people forgot how busted he was. I remember when
buffing him too.
Yeah, and when Main Man Sui made a video, a lot of people's eyes fucking opened. Like, it's kind of like they realized, wait, this is the power of Ultra Instinct? Yeah, you know what's coming for you now that you know what Feng has. Feng was fucking busted as shit. And when was he nerfed? Literally dead last patch of Tekken. The last patch of Tekken 7. So people were able to wreak havoc with him on major tournaments and local tournaments. I'm like, bro.
Harada's main, by the way.
Yeah, Harada's main. I know, exactly. Even you get it. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the most OP and weakest character I ever played in a fighting game, Kazumi. But I think the weakest character I ever played, who's always been weak, like just has always been weak, if I'm sticking to Tekken, I'm gonna say Asuka. Asuka is like just very weak. Like, I remember, Zhao, you probably remember this, she did not have a proper 10 frame punish. Most people that have a 10 frame punish, it's usually 2 hits. Even King has a proper 10 frame punish. You can go with 2-1 or 1-2. But it's still 2 hits. It gives you relatively plus or neutral setup after at least, so you're good. What is Asuka's 10 frame punish? It's 1 move. Press 1 to punish with Asuka, and then that's it. But wait, she has a 1-3 and a 1-1 string. It's so slow, or the first move is not plus enough that neither move will connect. Like, she's just dog shit. Asuka's super fun to play, but she is super dog shit. Until Tekken 8, that is. I did try Asuka in Tekken 8. My god, they leaned into her. Oh yeah, we get that her neutral damage is, her neutral game is shit, but guess what? We buffed her damage. Like, okay, that is a good trade-off. All right, I'll take it. I'll fucking take that. I remember that Asuka and Tekken 7 Lars still suffer till this day. Yep, they do. I remember Knee's, one of my favorite and one of everyone's favorite Knee moment. Knee got a fucking garbage bag. You know the black ones, Kappa? You know the black garbage bags? This is Lars. He's trash. Changey character.
No, I remember the stream. He was just like,
Lars trash.
You play Lars?
This
stop.
This Lars trash. Changey character. I'm like,
Changey character.
Changey character.
Bro, Lee was so fucking foul for that.
The literal god of Tekken. Hey, if the god of Tekken says he's trash, he's probably trash. He has a point.
He's so wrong for that, bro.
And just for those who don't know, Knee is the god of Tekken for a reason. He has reached the highest rank you can possibly get on every character. Every character. That includes Lucky Chloe, both bears, who are garbage tier, by the way. He's done it with every character, and even after the patch that introduced like 2 more higher ranks, he still put them up there.
He is like, you know what? I just need to flex on everybody real fast.
Lars still paid for his sin in Tekken 6. Yeah, he still does to this day, and so does Bob. But arguably, Bob did not suffer as much as Lars has. Like, Lars is just dead-ass garbage. Horrible in Tekken 7. But at least Bob is viable. He's really good, but man. Alright.
This segues nicely to balance, too.
Yeah. Because the next question. So, how does balance affect a casual player compared to a hardcore player, if there really is any difference?
It all depends, really. I mean, really theoretically speaking, the way I see it, and like speaking from experience, if you're playing as a casual, the main thing you're looking at is you're not looking like, I don't think balance patches and whatnot really affect casuals. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna speak true from the heart. I don't think casuals give much of a shit about character strength, or if they do, it's only to the surface of, oh, this character's top tier, let me play him, or this character's cool, all right, cool. It touches between the realms of like, all right, this character feels nice, he looks cool, I'm gonna try him, and it doesn't matter how strong they are, how bad they are, like they'll play them. And I feel like when patch notes come out, they don't really give a shit, or they don't really know. They just kind of, they're in that newcomer, beginner, or scrub phase. And if they're just playing casually, they're not going to really give a shit. They're not going to be impacted much. Or at least that's how I see it. But with hardcore players, you start to see these frustrations. Or I think actually, before we even get to hardcore players,
Yeah.
it's when you get to the mid-level player that you start to see these things come up more, because now you're seeing people who are invested enough to get past the first phase of being a newcomer or beginner, and then get good enough to be mid-level. That's where gatekeeping starts happening, where you start to see frustration pop up. People start having more opinions. People start playing better, improving. They're good enough to like possibly be at hardcore, but they're being held back by something. And this is where that frustration starts to mount a lot more. Balance starts to affect them because they recognize what's being nerfed and what's being buffed or what's being changed. But then when you get to the hardcore player, that's where it's the most prevalent. But I think the reason why mid-level is so like, this is why I bring it up is because you always hear from them. Like, they're always the loudest group to talk about it.
Oh,
but
yes.
hardcore players hardcore players, you hear this all the time. It's just that they're a lot more articulated, I would say. A lot of people are more articulated when it comes to hardcore. But at the same time, like, just because a player is hardcore does not necessarily mean that they're good. That's the biggest one.
Oh, yeah.
If they're hardcore, usually they could be good, or they could just be very casual, or it doesn't even like say skill level involved. Just hardcore players.
Just
because
they
they're
just play a
invested
lot, and they as you
they
said,
play a
they
lot.
invest. They're just invested in fighting games, but doesn't
Yeah,
mean they're
so-
like really fucking good. No.
But the hardcore players, it affects them the most, I feel. Them and mid-level players. Because these players are so invested into what they're doing that their emotions start to get bubbled in based on that, or they're so invested into the game that they do nothing but play that game. And so when they see the patch notes, they see the changes, like, they see it and they recognize it, and they take time to learn it, and that's when they should start to see both the benefits and the negatives of what things happen. So when balance changes happen, the way I see it, like, balance can affect these players the most, whereas casuals have no reason to feel like affected in the least, because, you know, at the end of the day, they're playing casually, they're playing for fun, or they're just playing as a pastime. Whereas hardcore players dedicate obscene amounts of time.
Oh yes,
Some of them are even content creators.
Yeah. Like, basically the difference is that a hardcore player will definitely feel the effects of a patch notes faster than any casual player. Like, just the feel. Like, even if it was like, you know how people say shadow nerf, shadow buff? It's usually the
Yeah.
hardcore players that find that out.
Or it's the players that dedicate enough time to
Yes.
recognize these changes.
Now, to add to that, I am in complete agreement with what you said about how generally, not 100% of the time, but generally, it's usually the hardcore players and the veterans and the professionals that will get affected by a patch or a balance patch or balancing. But I would say, in a bit of a paradoxical way, casual players are also the most negatively affected by a balance, because again, just to take a note from Kappa's Book of Wise Quotes, hear me out. Like, a casual fighting game player will generally not care if their character gets stronger, because for them, like, most casual players, I believe, care more about having fun than winning, because they know they are casual players. They know that most of the time they will lose, but can they have fun is the question. Now, let's say I am a casual Manon player and I just want to grab people, even though that is not supposed to be your game plan as a Manon player. You just want to grab people. Can you do that? Okay. Now, let's say there's a patch that says we buff for anti-air finally. I wouldn't care because I don't really use it. But if they told me that if they nerfed my character, I'd be like, what? Like, wait, what? You nerfed my character? Why? So that's a negative effect. And a casual player will be mostly affected by that compared to like a veteran player or a hardcore player. Because guess what? If you invest enough time in a fighting game, just like food, as much as you have a favorite kind of food or dish, you're gonna broaden your horizons, right? Like, you're not gonna keep eating your favorite food. It's eventually gonna get stale, and you don't want that to happen. So as much as I have 1 or 2 mains in every fighting game, that doesn't last long. I will change mains or even add mains because I want to keep having fun in a fighting game. And depending how often I play a fighting game and how much time I invest, that's gonna happen very soon or very late. Now, so yeah, if a character were to be nerfed, most hardcore or professional players will try to solve it or change characters or lab it. But a casual player might just deadass quit because, like, why? Like, I just play this game for fun and now I cannot even have the fun. But again, it's a very case-to-case basis. It really depends. But in terms of like a nerf or a minus on a character's buff nerf list, the most affected by that is definitely the casual players. And a buff, most casual players won't really care, or yeah, because again, fighting game characters have several moves. So even if they buff a move or two, unless it is a move that the player enjoys using, they won't care. I mean, Kappa, what is one move that Nagoriyuki has that you don't really use or you don't really care about? Is there even a move?
I honestly don't think like Nagoriyuki would be the character to use it for that.
Okay.
But I do know who. I know it's a perfect one.
Okay, tell me.
Hakumen is the Hakumen definitely is the character to probably choose from that.
Okay.
Because in BlazBlue Central Fiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one button I don't use like for block strings is definitely 5A, which is his standard jab.
Standard jab, yeah.
Because for the most part, it whiffs on crouchers. Like literally 34 characters it whiffs on, except for Hakumen and Taker. Which,
wow.
To put into perspective, it's a +3 normal. It's 5 frames. It's a +3 5-frame normal. But it whiffs on 34 out of the 36 characters.
Damn.
And you're better off only using it in combos. So if they buffed that shit, I would not care. I would still be using 2A because it's better, and you know I stagger better with it, and I do 2A 6A. I feel like 5A is a button I seldom use ever, except outside of combos.
Outside
I don't
of combos,
use it. Yeah, I rarely ever use that move. And more importantly, there's
There is a... Uh-oh. Okay, we lost connection with Kappa. Let's just give him a bit.
Rev 2. Sin has a move
Oh, you're back.
called...
You disconnected for a bit.
Oh, I disconnected? Where did I stop?
Like after saying I can stagger better with 2A.
Yeah, so in general, the Hakumen just has better stagger options off of 2A. So you're just better off doing that instead of 5A. But in terms of other characters that also have this thing, I love Sin, but I don't use a move he has called Vulture Seize, where it's an overhead, yes, and it's 14 frames of startup, and you can TK it. But the thing about it, right, is that it's so situational outside of certain situations that I seldom use it. But I do use it. I just don't use it as frequently. So
Okay.
I use it from time to time. But it's not a move that if they nerfed or buffed it, I would be like, oh no, the move, ah.
Okay, I understand that. Yeah, like so. Yeah, again, that's the dynamism of balancing, right? Just because you buff a move, not everyone's going to celebrate it and then like, oh my god, best thing ever. No, some people won't care. Now, I'd like to ask Kappa, would you agree with this mentality I have for balancing, where I think the goal for a balance is to please not everyone, but the most amount of people you can when it comes to balancing a character?
Yeah, I honestly think that when
Because
you think about it,
yeah, because realistically, you're not going to please everyone with like how you buff or nerf someone. So just please the most amount you can. That would do you agree with that?
yeah, because that can also be applied to just not even just balance in a fighting game. It could be applied to don't try and please everyone. Please as many people as you can. Like that mentality is a healthy mentality because what you're trying to do is like, no, you're not going to please everybody. There's going to be people who's going to criticize. There's going to be people who are going to be upset, and a lot of people are going to have reasons to bitch. But there's going to be a small or large group of people who are going to like it. And the best thing to do is to try and cater to that group.
Oh yes. I mean, it's basically the best outcome you can come up with is that you don't have anyone saying who asked for this. Who was
exactly.
cooking? Get them away from the stove.
Yeah.
Because like honestly, me personally, this is my philosophy when it comes to balancing. And a lot of people might shoot me down for this, but hey, this is my philosophy. I'm not saying that people should do this, but I think personally it benefits more than it will disappoint more. I think there shouldn't be nerfs. There should be just buffs. Now again, I just want to reiterate. I know that I personally I think it is a hot take. Not many people will agree with this. But I prefer because I think this is a very good, if anything, unorthodox philosophy when it comes to balancing. Don't nerf buff only. Like don't nerf a character because they're too busted or too OP. Because my reasoning for that, just so you guys understand, right? My reasoning for that is because I do not want to punish or feel punished for playing a character. Like, it's not my fault that my character for some reason is so OP or no one knows how to fight them, right? It's not my fault. Even I didn't know. And even if I did know, I'm just having so much fun with them. Don't nerf me. I would say buff other characters so they have a better way to deal with me. Like if you want, say, if the developers and the people who are saying, but nerf this character, want me to think or have to make a game plan to deal with other characters, how about you buff those characters instead of nerfing mine? Because I believe that if you buff instead of nerf, it levels the playing field in a very progressive way, in the sense that no one gets worse, everyone just gets better.
Yeah.
Now again, I just want to, sorry, just to cut you short real quick. Look, I don't want this to be like, oh, you're convincing us. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not convincing anyone that this should be it, but this is my personal opinion about how balancing should be done. I completely understand that it's a hot take, but I really do think that in terms of balancing, the best way to do it is the way that it's not original. I'm not claiming it as an original Inariyoko TM balancing
You could.
copyright. No, it's not mine. It's Yoshi P's. Yoshi P has never nerfed a class in Final Fantasy XIV. He has always buffed classes. He either gives less buffs for a class that's already strong, or he just buffs every or all classes that needs buffs. But classes that need quote-unquote nerfs, he doesn't do that. He does not do that. Because he plays this game, and he does not want to feel like, why do I feel punished for picking this class? So again, like, for anyone who's been like again, I'm definitely not part of the Nagoriyuki fan club, but I have dabbled a bit in Nagoriyuki and GG Strive, and I've always enjoyed playing him before and after the buffs. I didn't care about the nerfs or the buffs. I always enjoyed Nagoriyuki with just how he can cancel everything into everything. Of course, not literally.
Special cancels are awesome.
Yeah, but I just love that playstyle. Like, nerf me all you want, buff me all you want. I'm still gonna play this character because he's just so fucking fun to use, okay? And he's cool, okay? Big, burly man with a sword, and he covers half the screen just by standing there. And then to add to his intimidation, he doesn't dash. He just walks to you menacingly. Like, yeah, let me have that. You can buff, nerf me all you want. I'll fucking take it. I'll just keep playing this character. Now, even before he was buffed, and even after he was buffed, I always thought that Nago was just very fun to play. So when people discovered how strong he was, and they were like, nerf this guy, Guilty Arxis, in their infinite Daisuke's vision wisdom, buff. I'm like, wait, this guy is already buff, like literally buff. His muscles have jiggle physics. You're gonna buff him more? Like, bro, what?
The craziest part is those are not physics. Those are all animated.
Yeah, those are all animated, I know. But the fact that they buffed him more, I'm like, hey, don't get me wrong. I love buffs. But did you really need to? He didn't need the buffs. And I'm like, it's not just... Yeah, we'll get to that later. But just to stay on this point, right? These are not just minor buffs, and even Kappa knows this, because after those buffs launched, he and I were just being chilling on the in our voice chat, and he was like, I swear to God, Inari, anyone who like joins in on the Nago trade, I'm gonna call them out. Y'all ain't shit before this patch. Y'all are posers. You're fake.
Yeah. Nah. As soon as I saw the Nago nerfs, I'm like, I better not magically see motherfuckers just hop off the character, bro.
Exactly. So I'm like, after that, I'm like, no, he still is very fun to play. I don't fucking care for these. So yeah, like, these were just small buffs. It's not like we extended the hitbox of 5k.
Huge.
No. It was worse. It's way worse than what you think. Basically, in my opinion, again, I may be wrong because I'm very casual, his only built-in balancing mechanic, which is pop, they buffed it by like increasing the delay of the build-up when you are that was one of the major buffs. Like,
was the most
a lot of people were like, oh my god,
bro.
the damage, oh my god, the fact that this move is plus. Most people like Kappa who actually knew their character were like, y'all aren't talking about the most important buff of this guy, dude.
That wasn't even his best buff. That was important, but that wasn't even his best buff.
Like, they actually freaking increase the delay of his blood before he pops. So for those who don't understand, what does that do? That means he can use more moves before he pops. Okay, he has more moves before he pops. And also that means he has a longer window to bite you in the neck so it doesn't happen. And I'm like, huh? Like, what? Yeah. Like, again, if I was on Yoshi P's like vision, I'd be like, no, Nagoriyuki is very strong. I won't buff him, I won't nerf him. I'll buff everyone else. And then when Nagoriyuki needs the buff, that's when I'll buff him. But Daisuke was like, no. He switched his glasses. He put Daisuke vision glasses on. I'm gonna buff this character. Why? Cause fuck you. Daisuke's vision, dude. I'm just gonna buff this guy.
I believe in Daisuke's vision wholeheartedly. I believe in Daisuke's vision. He is a fucking messiah.
He was fucking Giga, like soul bad Giga Chad. Just by buffing Nagoriyuki. Like I was ready for the nerfs. Like he's gonna nerf Nago. I think it would be okay. And then me and Kappa were gobsmacked. We're like, Kappa, we're reading this, right? Like, Nago got buffs, and you were like,
God.
Kappa was like, no shot. I'm like, yes, shot. I'm looking at it. I don't see a single nerf on this list.
When I read that list and I said, if Nago somehow gets buffed, I am downplaying like a motherfucker.
Yeah, you're gonna downplay it like a motherfucker and make Sheikah look tame in comparison. And oh my god.
I'll be like, nah, y'all just gotta get good. Y'all are just shit at the game. Y'all are just dog shit at the game. You gotta have to get good. No, the season 2 was the most villainous shit I've ever been.
It was the most villainous shit, like...
I was awesome, bro. I was awesome in season 2, bro. I had the craziest amount of crack injected into my system.
I remember like the one time I did fight someone online, and I literally Twitter comboed them. You know what I did?
What'd you do?
I did the DP Beyblade round start loop.
Oh my god, that shit.
I just had to try it because I'm like, can I actually do this shit? Does it work?
It's
Round
so
start, DP Beyblade, DP Beyblade, DP Beyblade wall break. I'm like, wait, it actually works.
The worst part is that combo. Like, if you do DP, like if you do DP follow, like DP follow up Beyblade DP, and then just do, just do like far slash into 6H, guaranteed combo, did 40% right.
Yeah,
there.
right on the bat.
And on top of that, you just mitigated your blood, so now you're down to a bar.
Yeah. That's so funny.
It's
and
stupid,
why could
bro.
I do that? Because they delayed the buildup of blood after using so many special moves in a window. The only reason you can do that many DPs and Beyblade to carry them all the way to the wall, all the way to the fucking border of the wall of the stage is because of that one buff. It wasn't the damage, it wasn't the special moves, it was the blood gauge buff. I'm like,
It's so dumb.
it was just the most toxic, beautifully toxic shit I ever did in Guilty Gear Strive ever.
Season 2, see, since we're on the topic of like balance and changes and whatnot, I feel like I want to get into this. Like it definitely helps. Like we're at this point in time, like I want to talk about changes and shit because I'm out here being a menace today. I want to talk about the villainy that I was on.
All right. Next question. Like it looks like a very simple question, but trust me, this question has a lot of depth. How important is balancing in a fighting game?
All right, chat room. I'm gonna be very fucking honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. This is gonna be a hefty question. It's a simple one, but it is a long one because that little question is such a huge discussion point in general.
Yep.
So to put into perspective, let me put something to you. How many of you hate fighting grapplers?
I hate fighting grapplers.
Now imagine fighting a grappler which are notoriously bad characters.
Yeah.
Right? Now imagine them as S tier characters.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
That was what Potemkin was in Accent Core. He had vacuum normals, plus on block pressure from hammer fall break, strike throw with pot buster, unblockable slide head that led into safe jumps,
Oh my god.
damage output up the ass, and worst of all, he had good matchups. He fought a lot of characters really well. Now, in the same vein, imagine this. Imagine playing Shenko
Oh no.
in a game where Virgil, Doom, Morrigan,
Don't forget
Sentinel,
Zero.
and Zero exist. Shenko is the only character in your team, and you have to fight ZMC.
ZMC, yep, that's the one. That's the
Good
abbreviation.
fucking luck. Good fucking luck, gamer. I'm gonna be real with you. To put into perspective, chat, the reason I bring these things up is because imagine playing a zoner. No, actually, I have a better one. We talked about grapplers. Now we talk about another archetype that people fucking hate: zoners.
Yeah, zoners.
Imagine playing a zoner. They throw out a far-reaching poke. You press a button, their hurt box extends to their poke. That was Billy Kane in KOF 13.
Oh my god! Yeah, I know.
That
worst
Billy
part
Kane was
is-
the saddest motherfucker on planet Earth in KOF
No, the
13.
worst part, it's minus on block. No, on whiff. No, on hit. It
On
was
hit.
minus 13 on hit. I'm like, what?
You know what's even funnier? Zato in the original Guilty Gear in Missing Link was so bad. His his on block frame data was worse than his on hit data was worse than his on block data.
How the fuck does that even work?
Missing link. There was no fucking brain cells in that operation. But the point I'm trying to make to you, chat, right, is that this goes back to what we were saying earlier, right, where balancing is such a huge, like walking on a tightrope situation.
Yep.
It's so because but it's so much more complex than just like buffing or nerfing or changing characters.
Yeah, and sorry, just to add a point, we're not exaggerating here. Even adding or subtracting one frame from one move can turn a character from top tier to dog shit tier. We're not kidding. It can take just one frame adjustment.
And the thing too is like you don't understand how significant certain changes could be when you put them into the grand scheme of things, because what balancing requires is that you not only have to consider the state of the character you're trying to buff or nerf or opt or adjust. Let's just say adjust in any capacity. You have to adjust the character. Then you have to adjust how they interact with the rest of the cast in mind, and then on top of that, how they interact with the systems in place for them to play the game according to the developers' wishes and desires.
Yeah, so
and
translation,
that takes more foresight.
Yeah, translation when balancing a character: small picture balancing, and then big picture balancing. You're not just buffing and nerfing a character. You're buffing and nerfing a character in the environment of the game they are in.
Yeah, you're buffing and changing the way that the game flows, and you're not only doing that to just one character. You're doing that within the confines of the rest of the game. So imagine having to do that for all the characters. On top of that, if you wish to interact with the system mechanics, now you have to try and see how those would operate with these new changes on top of that. So there's so many things, added layers on top of that.
Yes.
And sometimes characters that look like they receive very little, like some would, like it only takes one change to turn a character from absolutely dog shit to one of the best characters in the game, or vice
the other
versa.
way around. Yeah, one of the best characters in the game to one of the worst. I mean, Kazumi. Kazumi.
I mean, let me give you like a few examples, because this is something like as the president of the Nagaryuki fan club, or the president of the Nago Nation, as I would call it, right? So for today, I will acknowledge the Nago Bros. So before that, I would like to say there is one nerf that Wolverine received that changed him for the rest of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom.
Wait.
Know what the nerf? You know what that nerf is?
Was it his OTG thing?
No, it actually was worse than that. It was one thing. You want to know what's so fucked up about Wolverine?
Refresh my memory.
He has 5H, right?
Yeah, I remember 5H.
You needed 5H in certain segments in order to do stuff. If you know how in game like video like fighting games where you can mash a button to like for the interpreter to try and
cancel into
read
that.
the input.
Yeah,
to read the input better. Like you press the button multiple times so the interpreter could read. Yeah, this is what I want.
Oh no!
So you have multiple chances.
I think I know where you're going with this. But yeah,
with that in mind, they introduced
Swiss
a
cheese.
new move. Swiss cheese.
Oh no!
Swiss cheese fucked Wolverine so sideways he is limping now. That move screwed him so bad. It went from one of the coolest characters to one of the worst. And then you have things like Nagaryuki, for instance. Very strong character on launch, but nobody knew. But then there were some things that he didn't have then that he has now. So this is where I acknowledge the Nago Bros. And if you don't mind, Inari, I'm gonna list some of these things. I'm not gonna list them all, but I'm gonna list some changes.
Go ahead.
So let me show you, chat. So back in the day, Nago didn't have Fukyo Kara cancels, which are basically Fukyo into anything and cancel Fukyo into something else. Nago had to manually do everything and wait. And back in the day, his clone, or Zamaryuki, basically did not go full screen, and it wasn't 18 frames of startup. As a matter of fact, it was seldom used. It was actually one of the most underutilized moves in his entire kit. And it didn't have as much projectile clash priority as it did now. It was 23 frames of startup. It's still +5, but it didn't cover full screen. It went half screen or less than that. It was like 40% of the screen. And it was used on Oki, but it was seldom used. And you wouldn't even use it in combos because of how slow it was. So you would seldom use it. And then back in the day, his blood mitigation was nowhere near as lenient as it is now. Because far slash FSSS, so F triple S, that mitigates on block 90 points of blood. In total, Nago has 300 points of blood.
So
and
that's about a
right
third.
now, it's about a third. And then on hit, it does 150 points, which is about a bar and a half.
Yeah.
And they stack. They stack on top of each other, so they continue. Now, with this in mind, he didn't have any of that before. He didn't have that, and originally his old DP didn't have a follow-up. It was all one move.
Yeah.
So it was very weak by comparison. It was only ever used.
It was a
for-
committal move.
Yeah, it was committal, and it was only ever used as combo filler.
And if you didn't special cancel out of that, it was very minus.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that like Nago was objectively weaker back in season 1, even though he was really strong, don't get me wrong, he was extremely strong.
Oh yes.
But him not having Fukio cancel into any other move was like, it changed the landscape of the character, because now certain combos were locked, and you know, certain moves were more potent, but at the same time at the cost of certain combos having to do more damage. So there was no real issue with it back in the day, because damage was high with the character. It still is, but it was much higher back then, because damage was even worse, volatile to deal with. Then they gave him the first patch of buffs. They turned his DP into a follow-up that you could use on whiff. They made far slash do like on the third far slash, basically do what I mentioned, the change with that, and then they buffed his clone to be 18 frames of startup, which is 5 frames faster, and it went full screen and it basically had a lot of projectile clashing. To put into perspective, Gold Lewis can burst me and pull out level 3 minigun like Skyfish.
Yeah.
And on reaction from recovering, I could clone all the way over there and beat him.
And you can follow up after if the clone actually hit, which it should.
Yeah, it would. It was guaranteed.
Yeah.
I just won that. I just won that exchange. Then he just lost for bursting and doing that immediately after. If I cloned, he was fucked. That was screwed. And that's not even the worst of his changes. The most volatile changes were the fact that they gave him the ability to Fukio into special cancel. So he could basically cancel within 10 to 11 frames into the move. So let's say he has 25 frames for forward Fukio and 16 frames for back Fukio. Within the first 10 frames, or within the first 10, 11 frames, he can cancel the startup of that and into any special move. That was objectively his best buff. And then they added chip damage for level, like as higher the blood is, the more chip damage he does. So that basically turned him into a brain dead character, to the point where now he has 6H and Guard Crush. Now his most volatile buffs came in the form of high-low mix. He now has overhead off his DP follow-up, and he has a low in Beyblade. And his 6H Guard Crushes and does true damage if you get hit by it. You have to spend meter, but if you get it meterless somehow off of meaty, you just did true damage. You just killed them. The whole point is, like, my character went through so many changes, and this isn't even talking about the nerfs he received, because he did receive some.
He
but
did,
it's like,
yeah.
without me telling you that, you would not have guessed that he got nerfed, but he did. But he's so fucking stupidly strong now that if Happy Chaos wasn't in the game, I'm confident to say that Nago would be considered top 1 or top 3 again.
Yes.
Like Nago is back on the pedestal again. He's top tier, but he would be so much worse. He would be top 1 if Happy Chaos didn't exist. That's how volatile he is as a character.
Yep.
And so again, how important is fighting game balance?
It's really fucking important.
It's important because for Strive's sake, we have had the same top tiers for the whole game. For 2 years, we've had the same top tiers. That has not changed for 2 years straight, for 2 seasons straight. Nago has not gotten weaker. He's only gotten stronger, with some exceptions to his nerfs. Whereas characters who are weaker are slightly getting up. Like for instance, Faust and Anji are kind of getting better. Melia is getting a bit better. Ino got nerfed. Oh yeah, that's one thing. Ino.
Please.
Ino. One thing that fucked Ino up tremendously was her H stroke. H stroke, stroke the big tree used to be +2 but committal. If basically you were able to see it, you could grab it or interrupt it because the startup was longer, but it was +2. So if you fucked up and didn't deal with it, you had to block.
Yep.
Or have a reversal on deck unless they basically didn't commit to anything. Then Arc System, to deal with that, made a change to it.
A very bad change.
And it hurt Ino really badly. And it came in the form of Terika +2 move that was committal to an extent and make it -2. It's safe on block. Don't get me wrong, it's still safe. However, that ruined a lot of her pressure because now her pressure cannot loop into itself anymore, which is both a good thing to some players, but a horrible thing for Ino players because now that ruined a lot of the biggest crutch that they had. And these changes could ultimately hurt a character in the long run. And it did.
I mean, essentially, like, for one of her worst matchups, Happy Chaos, there is no way that the Happy Chaos is not going to toss out Curse on neutral after that nerf because they know that it's minus on block. Like, they're just gonna toss it out because they know that that Ino player is not going to move in close where I get to press buttons with my stupid pull-out gun I'm plus. But they're not gonna stay there and take my pot shots because if they so much as lift off the ground 1 inch, they're flying backwards.
Yeah.
Now you might think, you're thinking like, oh, that means that while I'm waiting for them to do something, they have to heavy stroke. I have to block it and then respect the pressure afterwards. Maybe YRC, just guard, FD, burst, and then I get to press my shit. No, if they go in, I'm gonna fucking like take it because guess what? I am +1. Or sorry, they are -2. So I get to press buttons. And if a Happy Chaos gets to press buttons, you are fucked. Yeah, and that is why Ino's matchup against Happy Chaos, even before Heavy Stroke nerf, was literally like 0-10. If you were Daru, 1-9. I'm not joking. The only person who can actually, that was before the nerf. If you were against Happy Chaos player, you're just gonna lose, straight up.
Yeah.
And again, like, even in the hands of arguably the best Ino player in the world, I respect Daru for being a hardcore loyalist to a T. Still plays Ino to this day. I'm so glad. Like, Ino was the first character I ever played. I had so much fun with her. I still do. I haven't dropped her yet because, like, I still have fun with Ino. But the fact that you just made her worse, she was already like, I have to work hard. Like, I get it. Her difficulty rating is 1 out of 5 or 2 out of 5, which means very difficult to win. and you just made her a 0 out of 5 in terms of difficulty. Like, yeah, take your limp hand on a 1-button hitbox where that one button is Alt F4 and try to win. That's how difficult like it is now with Ino because of just one move being nerfed.
Yeah, it's
not just one move. It's the most important move she has. Like, as a player, I'm like, I wish that wasn't the case, but the devs designed her that way. That's like if Nago's main move was 5k, and then they nerfed that to oblivion. But thankfully, Nago's main move is not 5k. It is one of his best moves, but he has other tools in his Swiss Army knife to deal with bullshit. He has a lot of moves to deal with it. But for Ino, like heavy stroke, even though it is committal, and even if it's kinda like Leo's cross up slash, which is, in my opinion, more reactable than Ino's, it's still like her key tool. But
you still had to look for it.
You still had to look for it. You had to almost read it. It's very difficult to react to. But now, you don't need to react to it. You just block it, and then my turn. Like, oh my god. Like, again, with Nago, you block 5k, but did he space it out properly? Oh shit, I gotta look out. He might bait me with Beyblade probably after, or Fukyo back into forward 5S, because it means he'll back Fukyo closer instead of all the way back, and his far slash will still hit you, which he can then Fukyo forwards into a full combo. So again, see that little tree I just made from just one move of Nagoriyuki, which is one of his best and safest pokes, 5k. Even if they nerf that, he still has other tools. I know that they nerfed like his 2S, but hey, guess what? He has other moves. But as Kappa mentioned with Ino, the fact that they nerfed just one move just turned this one character into like, wait, Ino exists? Yup.
The craziest thing too is like Ino is still a really solid character.
She is.
It's like the character demands that you put and invest time into making her work. It's a very you have to cook. You have to put the effort in for the character in order to really get the best out of her.
You can't just be a very good chef with Ino. You have to be a Michelin star rated master chef with Ino if you want to cook.
Yeah, and Daru has shown that like
you can,
with enough time and investment, you can make the character work, and she's still very strong. But again, that requires investment, and not a lot of people have that investment the way that Daru did or does. And you know, some people have dropped their mains. Like, I know a lot of people who played Zato even before, like,
or infamously, quite infamously, as Senna pointed it out in chat, Giovanna in season 2. How many people just dropped off the face of the earth and picked Baiken instead, or another fighting game after the Geo changes in season 2? I'm like, oh my god, that is so sad, because I always considered Giovanna to be one of the best characters because she has a solid matchup with everyone and she is quite easy to pick up and learn. And then they did not just balance her, quote unquote, they just removed the fun out of playing her. I'm like, that is the worst way you can nerf a character. There are ways to nerf a character, but they're still fun to play. But that was arguably the worst nerf they ever made to Geo. Like, they just made her not fun to play. Like, it's just not fun anymore. And I'm just like, okay, that's one way to kill a character. Nerf their best move? No. Ironic. Like, in season 2, I was still playing Ino. I seldom played Geo. Why? Even with the nerf to Ino, Ino's move, Heavy Stroke, she was still fun to play. But Geo? My god, I'm like, really? You want me to play lame as Geo?
Yeah, it's a very disgusting thing. And the worst part about balancing too is like the reason why it's so important is because it's like, and again, this is gonna come home to this is why it's so difficult, because balancing can mean many things, and in the modern day, this is why it's so concerning for some people. It's because a lot of the time when we talk about balance, devs are looking at previous iterations of their characters,
Yes.
and because of we're looking at a patch culture and we're looking at balance. Oftentimes, in order to achieve balance, characters may go through changes in characterization, moveset properties, or the functionality in question will be like adjusted for the game that they're going to come out in the modern day. And that means characters may lose tools or may get new tools in to replace the old tools they had, or they'll go through an entire change in archetype and also gameplay. One such character was Testament, who was a trap-based zoner back in the day, and they were volatile as shit. To put into perspective, Faust was one of the best characters in Plus R,
and Revelator as well.
Yeah, and Rev. But like in Plus R, Testament had traps that you could not see after they placed them.
Yep.
And then they had a tree that's set up that you could not see. Now they got rid of that. And they had a curse mechanic that was still there. They kind of kept it in the form of stain, but it only lasts for like 3 to 5 seconds, and it goes away after you hit them. It's the same with, and it's a 2-step process. They still have the zoner archetype to an extent. They're still a zoner to an extent, but they're kind of more reminiscent of a ranged attacker, and they play a spacing kind of game where they control the screen with a few things, set up a few things, and then they get their game plan started and run their pressure on you. But most of that could be akin to playing space control rather than zoning. And they use the projectiles to control the screen, where they're gonna have the succubus. If they want to teleport, they can, or they stand still, bait out an option. You get the point. They have so many things. Their whole gimmick is centered around putting a stain on you to run their pressure. Because once they hit you, you have an explosion that leaves them plus on block. So they can hit something on you, and then you basically have to hold that. And then they did the same thing with Bridget. Bridget was a runaway set play character who has zoning abilities. They changed that. They still kept the set play, but they made runaway feel less like a necessity. And they gave Bridget esports ass buttons.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so the set play is still there, but the runaway is nowhere. But the set play is nowhere near as crazy as it used to be. So they had to readjust. Same with Johnny. They got rid of his level up mechanic, and instead, in favor
no more coin.
of that, level up Mistfinder is no longer a thing. But to circumvent this, they gave him level 2 Mistfinder natively, and he has a new mechanic, which is Deal. He throws the card out, and he's a set play zoner now. So he plays that card, and if he interacts with that card with his Mistfinder, and you are near the
explosion.
The card and explosion, you get cut, and it guard crushes you, and he's plus on block. And he has pressure. He also has new ways of using his moves. Like Nsenga is back, but it's different. You don't have a Zweihander. You have his leap, which can be canceled into a throw, or you can do the follow-up, which is the card. He sets the card, and if you time it right, you can combo into it, and you can Mistfinder into the card and juggle with that. So again, a lot of these things come from the idea that you got to find a nice balance, but also at times balance may not always be the thing people like, and it could leave people very mixed on how these things work.
Yes.
And it's the reason why people were very upset with Strive, because of the oversimplification, and why people are very scared when they hear the term accessibility.
Yes, I agree with that.
Because accessibility isn't exactly a bad thing. Accessibility has always been something fighting games have always strived for since the dawn of time.
It was always
easier.
Generally, it has always been a benefit. When something is more accessible, it's usually beneficial. But just like anything, too much of something is just as bad as not enough of something. Too much accessibility is just as bad as not enough accessibility.
Yep. Because then it ruins the one thing that people love, and that's player expression. Or it ruins a game when things are way too homogenized.
Yes.
And it feels like everybody feels like they have a super
Yeah.
generalized game plan. Where it's imagine like, oh, I want to play X character. Yeah, they're homogenized in a way so you can still play all these other characters. But the problem now lies with, are these characters fun to play? Do they feel too babyish? And it almost comes to a point where it's like, you can have too much accessibility, and and you know, when you start, it starts to feel like you're insulting the player's intelligence when you start hand holding them. See, it's not wrong to have accessibility, but
doing it wrong does like a lot of damage than people think.
And it happens often.
Yes, it happens very often. Now, to put a lid on this one very simple question, we've been talking a lot about this question. That's how important it is. Let me just paint a picture for you guys. The Mishima archetype in Tekken is very prevalent, but character expression for each Mishima player is just as prevalent. Like, you can face 100 Kazuya players, 100 Heihachi players, 100 Jin players, 100 Devil Jin players. They will play differently, every single one. And they are practically the same character, hence the Mishima archetype. Let that sink in. That is how you know that they are quite balanced in a good way. There are things that Kazuya can do that Heihachi can't do, and vice versa. Same goes for Jin and Devil Jin. But because of how balanced they are in their moves and their mechanics, I can play them very aggressively, very conservatively, a bit of mixed, and it will still work. But when you take someone like Mei, and you as a developer are like, what's Mei's character identity? Or better yet, what is Nagoriyuki's character identity? You might say blood gauge. You might say his Fukyo cancel or his special cancel. Good. Now here's the thing. You still want the character to be, as a whole, greater than the sum of its parts. There are moves that most people will not use, but you have to make sure that in a way, all of the moves will be utilized, even though it's a really bad move. I mean, to use a metaphor, no self-respecting Kazumi player uses down forward 2 because it's ass. But will I use it? Yes. I know when to use it. I will use it. But if you balance a character in a way that Nagoriyuki will never use blood gauge to use a special move except Fukyo, that is fucked up. If you balance Mei in a way where all she will do is dolphin and cancel out of dolphin 100% of the time, you know you fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the reactions when Guilty Gear put out that Season 3 update with the new moves. Like I'll just call it Burst Rush.
Wild Assault.
Yeah, Wild Assault. Drive Assault. Like, yay, that looks very awesome. And someone who tried Geo Day 1 with Wild Assault was hella fun. And then I saw the Mei. I'm like, oh, Mei's going to Heavy Dolphin. I know it's Heavy Dolphin because it's very reactable. As a Nago player, I'm like, oh, 5k out of the air if I reacted late, or I will 5H if I saw that shit coming. Guess what she can do now? She can jump lead out of it. And what's the worst part? Can she make an input while she is in the air? You bet your Daisuke Vision ass she can. So what the hell then is the point?
She can also air dash out of it.
Yes. So what the hell then is the point of hitting someone with Heavy Dolphin, even on counter hit, when it's generally better to just jump out of it 100% of the time? So what will people do now? You're never gonna get hit by the Dolphin. You're gonna get bamboozled by the Dolphin because the mix-up from Dolphin cancel is way better than Dolphin itself. that is when you know you fucked up. Basically, just imagine. I'm pretty sure, like, again, I am not as much of a Nago enthusiast or appreciator as Kappa. I wish I was.
Oh yeah.
I can't get there to that level, but I would be very, very pissed and very sad if it comes to, there is a day that comes when Nagaryuki's best option out of Fukyo is just Fukyo or a normal, because of how neutered his specials are after Fukyo or outside of Fukyo.
Yeah, because at this point in time right now, the fact that, you know, Nagaryuki has high-low mix off of DP and Beyblade is asinine, because I don't mind the idea of having that. However, the one thing I checked when I saw that was like, did they compensate? They like circumvent this by removing the disjoints.
Yep,
They did not.
they did not.
The disjoints are still fucking prevalent. And to put into perspective, his DP follow-up is an anti-air, and I'm gonna send this to you because I want you to see how bad this is. And to put into perspective, this is an overhead now.
Yeah, let me
This
see
is-
it. I want to see how bad it is. I haven't checked. I
This
haven't
isn't
checked
overhead.
Dust Loop. I want to see this.
Yeah.
DM it to me on Discord.
Yeah, I'm about to DM it to you right now. Like this is an overhead, brother.
What the fuck? Let me show this to you guys.
To put into perspective, if you
All
are
right,
in
hang
the
on.
vicinity of
Let
it
me-
and you get hit by that, that's a counter hit and you get ground bounced. So
Let
I
me
got a
show
free
this
combo.
to you guys. All right, let me show this to you guys right there. Look at that shit. All right, look at that shit. Kappa, can you explain for the audience what this means?
Okay, so chat room. So zoom it out real fast so that everybody could see.
I can't zoom out. I can only zoom in.
Okay, so, well, it's really zoomed in. That's the thing.
Yeah, I can't zoom
All right.
out. Oh wait, hang
Okay.
on. Can I? There.
Yeah. So chat, right? So let me explain to you something. This move is fucking stupid, right? I'm trying to tell you this. This was a mid before.
That is
So
so
like blocking this
disjointed.
was disgusting. So to put into perspective, from round start, this would hit anybody. And worst part, if they pressed a button or they backdashed, I just clipped them. And worst of all,
Worse if
I
they
can
press
press
the
the-
button, it's a counter hit.
it's a counter hit. And then on top of that, when they buffed this thing, they made it so literally anything above him, behind, like on top of him, in below him, it's gonna look how far it is to the ground. You know what's crazy about this? I didn't even tell you. This will hit low profile. This will hit people in front of him, above him, below him.
Yeah,
You are not
so-
low profiling this. You're not jumping over this.
So
you are not
for those who
running
don't
through
know,
this.
low profile basically think Souls, Vortex, or Stroke the Big Tree. It will hit.
Yeah, and
It will
and
still hit.
And the worst part about that move is the fact that he can cancel into it immediately on whiff, and even on top of that, it's now a high, so you have to block standing, and you have to guess between Beyblade and that. On top of that, if you get counter hit by that, it causes a ground bounce that was added in from season 2, so he gets a free combo off that. So GG's. And if he throws that shit out there, it's such a crux. You could just spam it. It's so dumb. It's actually just broken. I actually think it's one of the moves that actually Nago might have to start calling broken. Like that move is actually just broken.
Hiya Tibbs, thank you so much for the raid. Oh my goodness,
Did
hang on, let me give you a shout out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Tibbs. Cyberpunk. You must have been playing Phantom Liberty. I'll be playing that later after this. But yes, welcome Raiders. Welcome to my monthly podcast, Shrine Talk, episode 37. My guest for today is Kappa. We are talking about fighting game balance in the modern era.
Hello, everybody.
Kappa here is a very good friend of mine. He plays mostly fighting games. Not really a variety kind of person, as he himself said. But from time to time, he will dabble in other games too.
Yeah. Can't wait to get separate ways so that we can play that. But it's gonna take a minute, so you guys are gonna have to hold off on that. But in general, though, did I cut off anywhere? Because I heard someone was questioning or something like that.
No, it's all right. You didn't cut off.
So I'm gonna be real with you when I say, like, the fact that Nago has these things, right? I'm not like, I don't mind having these things, but like, why? Like, he on top of all this stuff, he has high-low mix now, when he used to be a mids dispenser. Now he has high-low mix off of 2 very potent moves, and he kept the disjoints on that. Like, why? Why did you keep those? I wouldn't mind if you decided, yeah, I'm going to remove some of these disjoints to compensate for these strong options, because that's a very strong option. Giving a character like Nago mix, yeah, I think that would tilt anyone. Like, you need to circumvent this, but no, they kept it the same, and they didn't nerf nearly the things that they should have. Instead, they buffed him, which is a problem. That's the tightrope. You don't want to be making these mistakes every time. Yeah. And if you make it too often, trust me, you're going to have a game that's going to be so broken, it's going to make Marvel vs. Capcom 3 look like a fucking joke.
Now, very good segue to the next question. What do you think is the most balanced fighting game you have ever played? If it even exists.
Wait, did we not talk about the games that we thought we just were whack?
No, I wanted to interchange both.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Oh, wait, one sec. I'll just go to the bathroom real quick. Give me, like, less than a minute.
Oh my god, you and me too? Oh, god damn it. All right. All right, so I'll be right back, chat room.
Okay. I'm back. Most balanced, I'd say SF6 is legitimately the most balanced despite the balance issues it has. Or even Idol Showdown. Huh. Okay, let's wait for Kappa to come back.
Give me a second.
There you go.
I'm back now. I returned, but I gotta put my headphones on.
All good.
Cool.
I'm back too. So yeah, what's the most balanced fighting game you've ever played?
Funny enough, like, aside from Strive, I would say the most balanced fighting game I've ever played is ironically not that balanced, but I honestly really enjoyed it. I think it has to be Central Fiction. I would say that or Under Night. Like, Central Fiction, the reason why I bring up Central Fiction, right, is like there's obvious broken shit in that game. Like, the characters are so broken, they have unblockable, like, keep in mind these are games with unblockable loops and unblockables, right? But the thing I love about those games is that, like, that game in particular is the reason that the game, especially because, like, the game has such a high execution flow, right? And I don't have the highest level of execution, but the thing that's really good about that game is the fact that everything just feels so rewarding. It feels like defense is really good in place of, like, really strong offense, and the mechanics feel great. Characters feel universally dynamic and very adaptive, as well as, like, multiple playstyles just feel great. But the biggest thing I love about that game is that on top of all this technical ceiling, the game is so heavily rooted in its basics that it carries very well throughout the game. Like, your fundamentals and basics can go a very long way in BlazBlue. That basic combos are just as important as BNBs. If anything, you have basic BNBs. That's how important that shit is. For instance, if I play Hawkman, one of my most common combos I'm gonna use is 2A 2B 2 like 2A 2A 2B 2A 6A 3C, and that'll do like probably 1500 damage in a game that's usually low damage. Like Hakumen BMB damage can go up to like probably, like, without spending too much meter, like 3+ K, which is pretty low damage in most Arc System fighters, but like 3K is pretty good. And then sometimes you can get up to, like, if he spends like 3 bars, he can get up to like 3.7K, or worse, he could do 5K. Like, his weakest BMB damage is still frightening, but you know, like, his basic BMBs don't do very much damage. But that's not the point. The point is, like, his resource management is unique in the sense that he's a very strong character, because unlike Nagaryuki, where he's so like in tune with offense, Hakumen has offense, but he has clunky movement. He has a footsie dash, has a bad backdash. So his movement is poor, but his offense is potent, but very slow, very clunky. But when he gets a hit, he gets a hit. But his unique meter gauge is interesting because he has special cancels like Nago, but he has 8 Magatama, which is 8 stars, and each star represents 12.5 meter. And every special move he does has a cost. Light specials, medium specials, heavy specials, they all have costs. And you can't loop them over and over and over again. You have to, like, pick and choose. And the beautiful thing about Hakumen is that he builds his meter up naturally, that it steadily rises. The rate in which it rises happens faster if you overdrive, which is tied to your burst, which increases his meter gauge. And on top of that, he is a turtle-based character. He's a defensive powerhouse. He has parries and counters. So he basically is a defensive powerhouse. What makes him so threatening is not even his offense, it's his defense and his vitality. He has 12k health, or 12.5k health. He's very tanky, can take a lot of punishment, and he has very strong defense, which makes the opponent question their own offense. If they guess right, Hakumen turns the tide like that because a successful parry on activation gives him 1 bar of Magatama. So he gets another star. And once he gets meter, that's when he becomes a real threat. Low meter Hakumen, not that bad. When he starts having 3 plus Magatama, he's a threat. And the reason why he's a threat is because you cannot go into shark infested waters with him. He will not drown. You will either sink or swim. The longer the game runs, the more likely he is to win, because he has the health and the resources to be able to live, and he has anti-zoning tools and good poking and good neutral. But if your character relies on movement and not getting hit often, if he hits you once, you could just blow up, and he has the health and parries to, like, deal with you. So that's the thing. But he's a character I bring up because he's, like, a lot of his stuff, even though he has a lot of cool technical stuff that's really good, a lot of his stuff is really rooted in just basic BABs and just magic series, almost target combos in a way. That's a lot of his gameplay. 60% of his gameplay is just magic series, and then the rest of it is the other stuff. That's why I say Central Fiction is, like, such a really balanced game. For as broken as it can be sometimes, I think it's, like, a fine line between very, very hot, like, executionally dynamic versus very rooted in its basics. So it's like those carry over.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Let's see. Me personally, most balanced fighting game I've ever played, and this, in my opinion, is, like, my definition of, like, balanced. Like, thing is, like, it's kind of like a snowball effect, right? If a character is weak, no one plays them. No one plays them because they're weak, right? It's a snowball effect, because, like, no one plays them because they're weak. Why are they weak? Because no one plays them.
Yep.
So that's the thing. So in my opinion, if there is not a single top 3 outlier of everyone plays just these 3, then I think it's balanced. Now, in terms of in that, given that definition of balanced, I would probably say the later part of Tekken 7 and like Street Fighter 6 right now, I think is very balanced. And again, like, it's still up to argument, of course, but like, I would say that there are no like singular outliers for like really, really fucking strong. Like, pick this, you win. I mean, how with the Ken players? Look, a lot of people are playing Ken. Why? Because he's strong. Why is he strong? Because
Smart choice.
But like, again, as someone who's done online play a lot, ranked in Street Fighter 6, for every one character that I face, I'll face 3 or 4 Kens before and after. So technically, I fought 8 Kens before I fight another character. So I'll fight 4 Kens, then not a Ken, and then 4 more Kens, and then another character. Now here's the thing, Ken has very strong buttons, insanely strong buttons, but so does Luke. And Juri.
Yep.
And Marissa. And Jamie. And Rashid. The list goes on. And Chun-Li, like, I can keep going. Like, basically, every character has a glaring weakness. That's the thing. Now, that is a good way to balance a character. How do you make a character balanced? Give them a glaring weakness, at least one, right? Even if Ken has less weaknesses than someone like Zangief, Lily, Manon, or E Honda, for example. Yes, I know people hate E Honda, but believe me, he is much more manageable than the internet will paint him to be. And I have faced him several times as Manon, and I'm not worried. And Manon is considered like very weak or garbage. So again, if you give like the most busted or strongest character at least one glaring weakness, I'm like, okay, then they are more balanced. Now, my definition of not balanced at all, look at Launch Leroy in Tekken 7. Very good damage for combos, very good damage on neutral, low execution, auto parry, parry that goes through even rage arts, parries that has a follow-up into like 25, 28 damage. That is also plus on hit after. Oh, and if you are parrying as Leroy, it auto parries until you like stop holding the parry button. What do I mean? Before Leroy, the best parry in the game was Jin's. Why? Because he auto sidesteps per parry. He can even parry lasers. Now here's the thing. It did not, Jin's parry, even though it was the best parry, you had to physically like, I have to press a button or press a bunch of buttons to punish what I just parried. And his most common route is 2-4. 2-4, however, is a high. So if you parried a fast move, a fast recovering move, and you did 2-4, and they blocked 2, and they are probably Korean, they will duck the 4 and punish your ass. But with Leroy, you can punish the first move and then like, oh, this is a fast string. I'll just parry it. I won't follow up because they'll probably block. So basically, you didn't have to think after you parried with Leroy. You had to think when you parried as Jin. And Jin already had the best parry in the game. And they gave that title to Leroy. Did he have any glaring weaknesses? No. Literally no weakness. So did Facum Realm on release. He had no weakness.
Pay to win.
At the very least, Lydia had execution. Like, her optimal combos had execution gates. Like, you had to optimize which combo finishers you used, or else you'd fucked up and like you end up getting punished. At the very least, she had a glaring issue. So in Street Fighter 6, even the most played character, Ken, does have glaring issues. What is that? To be fair, execution. Another, a lot of his moves are completely negated by perfect parries. Now, before someone says, isn't everything negated by a perfect parry? Not as much as Ken. Because here's the thing. Ken also has, like, arguably the best back throw in the game. This motherfucker will back throw you all the way back into Street Fighter V with the amount of travel distance his back throw has. I hate it so much. But even then, he has glaring issues. His Jinrai kicks are punishable if he doesn't follow through on the second move. And if you block the overhead, you can punish. If you duck the high, you can punish. If you block the low, if you have a specific 4-frame move that will reach, you can punish. Or if you don't want to guess, you can parry. So again, see, like, he's still very susceptible to basic gameplay mechanics. Now, how about everyone's favorite zoner, JP? Well, he is very annoying to fight. You might say, I can't jump over his projectiles. Do note, he has to actually use the jumping projectiles. The anti-jump projectile, the Pierce. But remember, if you guess right, and he does that, he is fucked. So literally, if a JP player does his moves wrong, he gets punished hard. So what is this balancing act? If you fuck up, you get fucked up hard by JP. If JP is fucked, he gets fucked up hard by you. There, a glaring issue. How about for Manon? Well, Manon's grabs are nowhere near as good as Zangief. However, she has more tools and more versatility and combo routes than Zangief. So if you try to jump out, which is what most people will do against Zangief, if you play against Zangief, believe me, your best option is probably to jump out on Oki. You do not want to get, like, grabbed by SPD on Wake Up after getting knocked down. It's not fun. So just jump out. Because even if you get hit by the low, you're just gonna get hit by a lariat combo, and he probably has to, depending on the Oki move that he did, he has to drive rush. So you made him spend 3 bars of drive. So it's better to just jump. But with Manon, she can basically mix you up a lot better than Zangief on Oki. Sure, her grabs are not as powerful on the get-go. But if you have a 5-medal Manon and you're on the final round, you will be stressed as hell. But what's the trade-off? Again, getting to 5 medals as Manon is not easy, especially if your opponent is not afraid of you. Glaring weakness, which is why I consider Street Fighter 6 to be one of the more balanced fighting games to play in the modern era of gaming. Every character has at least one glaring weakness. If you want one character in the modern era that did not have a glaring weakness beyond DLC characters like Lab Coat, look at Launch Soul Bad Guy in Guilty Gear Strive. Launch Soul was just like far/to win.
The worst part was like
Clean hit DP to win.
It was. He also had like 6P that wall bounce, which was carried over from previous games, and his 5H is so fucking disgusting.
Yes,
I remember seeing it on launch. That shit made Eno skip 3 times into wall bounce.
Yep,
that was disgusting. And
again, Soul is not even a DLC character; he's just the main character.
The worst part too was like, see, 6P would not Farslash would not be an issue. Like in today's climate, if it wasn't for the fact that 1, you could not 6P it, 2, like it was virtually impossible to 6P that because of the way it worked. 2, FD, originally FD adds 2 frames of 2 additional frames of advantage for them. But you basically push them further off you. However, here's the problem: Farslash did not have any pushback. On FD.
Yep.
So you were fucking giving him +4.
It was in a loop. You were basically in a loop.
If you didn't have a DP, you were just fucked.
Yeah.
And worst part about it too is the worst part about that /2, it's +2, it's a 10 frame advancing normal, and it was Soul's highest damage primer.
Yeah, because the damage scaling was
100% back then.
Yeah. And we haven't even talked about 5K. We're not gonna talk about 5K because we don't have to. We're not gonna talk about Soul's 5K. All right. So the follow-up question to that, and our penultimate question, we're almost done here. Have you ever quit a fighting game just because of how whack the balance was?
Type Lumina, no shot.
Oh my goodness.
Type Lumina, and I believe there was one more. I don't remember, but yeah, Type Lumina was that game. Because at one point I started realizing that I was getting bored of the game, and I was expecting better because I played Actress again. I played Actress again, and the game was cool, and it had so much more freedom and so much more stuff. Even though I didn't know how to play it and I didn't have a main, but it's like when I played it, it was cool. Then I played Type Lumina when it came out. Sorry. I played it on launch, played it for a few months, and then I got bored, and I realized this shit is not fun. And I was playing Miyako at the time.
Oh dear.
And all the other characters were fucking boring. I didn't want to play them. They didn't look fun. And if I wanted to play a character with better things, I had to pick some of the other characters. But I didn't like the other characters. They didn't appeal to me.
Oh.
So I was left with a dilemma. Now I have to choose. And the worst part is, like, when I came back, they made all these changes, right? I was like super late. They made a lot of changes to it. I tried coming back. The moment I tried coming back, I realized why I fucking hated it. The combo system in that game doesn't feel fun to use. And I didn't like the combo theory in that game. I didn't like the way that... Oh yeah, here's another reason why I fucking hated it. Defense.
Oh my god.
Overbearing in that game. It's like
my.
where Strive had horrible defense in terms of, like, you could not defend. Like Melty Blood Type Lumina had overbearing defense.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was one of the biggest factors. It was one of the things that broke the camel's back. It was so bad that you were getting shield wars all day that they had to nerf it. And, you know, I'm glad they did. They made a lot of changes, and I'm glad for it. But I'm glad I quit when I did. Yeah. Because I'm glad I didn't have to suffer Vlav and Roa.
Oh my god. Very true. Very, very fucking true.
That game, I have never quit so fast. That shit bored the hell out of me, and I just stuck to Undernight. Undernight is objectively just a better game by default, personally.
Which is a damn shame, because the only thing holding it back is, well, marketing and netcode.
I think Type Lumina is in a better place because, you know, they have that gacha money from Fate, like the Fate Grand Order. Is it the Grand Order?
Yeah, Fate Grand Order.
Yeah, Fate. Yeah.
Why were you about to say Fate Global Offensive?
No, I was gonna say Grand Order. No, I was gonna say Grand Order, but I just wanted to be sure if it was Grand Order.
It is Fago.
If it was the anime or the gacha. But Fate Grand Order, and then on top of that, the game. The one good thing I'll give it is that they fixed a lot of the issues that they had on launch, and they also don't charge you for DLC. All the characters are fresh and new,
genius.
And they're free.
Me personally, if there is one game that I did quit, but I did eventually get back to. Actually, I want to test Kappa for a bit. Do you know what? Would you like to gander a guess?
DNF Duel?
No. Nope.
I was about to say.
I was like, no. The thing is, like, the reason why I would argue DNF Duel is balanced is because everyone is busted. That's my argument.
Kusuge, of course.
It is a Kusuge, so everyone is busted. So if everyone's busted, no one is busted. But yeah, no, not DNF Duel.
DNF Duel.
I didn't like in I rarely quit games and never give it a second shot. So this one I did drop out of frustration. but I eventually went back to it. Would you like to take a guess which one it is?
I have a feeling
might be
it's
surprised.
Strive, but I don't think so. Because you don't play a lot of fighting games on your channel.
Not
Like
not this moment at least. Yeah.
No, even back last year, yeah, you were played quite a few, but like,
Yeah,
it was very selective. It was Tekken 7, and at one point Soul Calibur 6.
Yep.
And then you played Strive,
Mm-hmm.
and then you played Tekken 7 quite a lot.
Yep. But right now, like I still play a lot of Street Fighter 6 and just Street Fighter 6 at least until Tekken 8 launches.
Can't be Street Fighter 5. I know for fucking sure.
No, that Street Fighter 5 was what gave us Fortnite. So
I mean, yeah, but
yeah.
still. Man, because you didn't play a lot of fighting games like that much last year, except for like Soul Calibur.
It
and
was
Tekken.
well balanced. Like 50-50, I was playing something or not a fighting game. So yeah, I wasn't like playing fighting games like 80% of the time. No, it was 50-50.
Yeah, you were probably more busy playing Fortnite over anything.
Yeah.
I know it's not Strive because you went long periods without playing Strive.
You give up?
Yeah.
You were right the second time. It was Strive.
Oh,
Like,
it was.
I was never frustrated playing a fighting game until Strive. That's the ironic part. Even though I still praise Strive for everything it has done in the modern era of fighting games, I was so frustrated. Because again, like, it's kind of like a domino effect. At first, I was just frustrated at how... I was first frustrated at how Launch Soul was just very oppressive. And I think Maximilian Dude described Soul Bad Guy in Strive best, at least on launch. Strive is the evolution of Guilty Gear. Why is it that Soul is the only character in the roster that has evolved with the game, and everyone is still stuck in their previous iterations? Like, I so much vibe with that. And even if it was as a joke, and even if it's true, or even if it was a meme or a joke, when people told me that Daisuke's favorite character is Soul Bad Guy, that's why he made him as busted as he is, I was just even more frustrated when I heard that. Like,
that's Daisuke's boyfriend,
that is
bro.
Bullshit.
That's Daisuke's boyfriend.
Now here's the thing. I'm not like some stupid coomer on the internet and I'm gonna send death threats to Daisuke. No, I'm not a fucking idiot. Alright? I'm not a fucking troglodyte. I'm not gonna do that. But I was just frustrated. And again, like, I'm not saying developers are not supposed to have their own bias. No, of course not. Everyone has their own bias. I mean, I have my bias towards female characters in fighting games. Kappa has his bias towards Nagoriyuki, Hakumen. That's totally fine. But acting on our bias is a whole different story. That is when you can get into treacherous territory. So basically, if I were to act on my bias on female fighting game characters, I would make a fighting game where the most busted characters are the female characters and they have no weaknesses. Well, Yoko's Vision, it's my game. I get to balance this and develop this the way I see it fit. That just paints a very ugly picture. You know, that's just my opinion. Like, I don't like that. So when people gave me that as an explanation, sometimes as a joke, sometimes as a fact, I just did not like it at all. I really did not like it at all. Now here's the thing. I'm not that one-sided. Like, oh yeah, how about Harada and Feng? Here's the thing. Feng wasn't even that popular, so not many people picked him. It's only when more people found out how busted Feng was because he was never touched because Harada likes Feng. But not many people used him, so not many people were traumatized or terrorized by Feng online. But Soul Bad Guy is the main character of Guilty Gear Strive, and he's cool and very fun to use. There was literally no reason why you wouldn't want to pick him. He was strong, top tier, hella fun to use, hella cool, hella awesome. You really had no reason to not pick him. The only reason you didn't pick him is because you liked someone else. And that was basically me. But when I heard of that bias, I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Really? That's the only reason why Soul Bad Guy is like this? So, again, like, Kappa had a good guess with like DNF Duel because it's a Kusuge, like everyone's busted. No, that's the thing. If everyone on Guilty Gear Strive on launch was as busted as Soul, I wouldn't mind. Because it means, hey, Soul is not the only person with bullshit privilege. Everyone has bullshit privilege. Like, could you imagine if Heavy Stroke the Big Tree gave you the same amount of guard crush as fucking Fafnir? That would be funny as hell. Of course,
when everyone's broken, no one is.
Exactly. If everyone would be like, hey, that's busted. Guess what? So is everyone else. So, for example, like if everyone had a guard crush, like Fafnir, no one would be complaining about Fafnir, about Garuda Impact, about Nagoriyuki's new 6H, because everyone has that. If everyone evolved and everyone was busted as Soul on launch, I wouldn't have been as frustrated as I was on launch, because I swear to God, like, I fought so many Souls online, and this was when I played one of two characters. I played only Ram or Ino. And the only reason why I played Ram was because I found it funny how people said she has thigh physics. I'm like, what?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was amazing.
And like, that was the only reason I played her. Then when I played her, I'm like, whoa, wait, she's fun to use. And then of course I played Ino because they gave her glasses, and then suddenly it painted a different picture for Ino for me. But yeah, I also liked how her new outfit, like I swear to God, Ino's design.
I hate her old design.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say I hate her old design, but her Guilty Gear Strive outfit by far is the best design of Ino ever.
Oh, no doubt. There's no argument.
Yeah, but basically, like, see that's the thing. I was using that someone that a fellow mutual said is for babies. You're carried if you pick Ram. Like, I mean, if I really am carried, I'm not gonna argue. Like, I don't care. I just find her fun. And I played someone who is literally on the why did you pick her tier, even on launch, which was Ino. I just found it very fun to play. But the moment I fought against Launch Soul, as Kappa aptly put it down for me, if you FD'd, you are fucked. If you blocked, you are fucked. If you get counter-hitted, you are fucked. If you are hit, you are fucked. If you see Soul Bad Guy on the screen, you are fucked. Like, why? And then I checked Dust Loop, just out of curiosity. I checked Dust Loop, and it's still the same thing for Dust Loop right now. What is the description of / for Soul and Dust Loop? Oppression in a can. I'm like, huh? Oppression in a can. Why is it oppression in a can? Oh, it advances him forward too. So it's not bad enough that it's hella plus on block and there's no pushback. It advances him forward. So what is it? It is a plus loop. And again, I would be less frustrated if everyone had that level of bullshit. But guess what? That wasn't the case. There were actual honest characters on launch as in Strive, and Soul ain't one of them. And again, you know what was the worst part, guys? We had a warning about this. People might have forgotten. But did you guys know that Wild Throw dealt as much damage as Potbuster during the beta?
Oh yeah,
I'm like, beta, so why pick Potemkin when Soul is Potemkin with better toolkit and less steps? You don't have to do a half circle back into forward punch motion for Potemkin. For Potbuster, you just had to do DP kick. That's it. DP kick, and then boom, Potbuster damage. And I'm like, you can't be fucking serious. Like, this is beta. Okay, so nerf that shit. They did nerf it, but guess what? They forgot to fix a lot of other shit. A lot of people had the same reaction and thought as Max Dude before the game launched. When they first played the beta, they're like, whoa, Soul Bad Guy is really evolving as much as the game. And that is all we can say about the roster of Guilty Gear Strive. Like, everyone feels like their past iteration, but simplified. For
so
better or
because-
for worse. I
It's
would
so
say
funny
for
too,
Eno,
because,
it's... I'll just finish this part. For Eno, I like the fact that her identity is a lot clearer. And for Milia, I'm glad that they took out her DP. Because in return, they could focus on her mix-up and her neutral. Which, I do understand Kappa's frustration against fighting Milia. Don't get me wrong. I love Milia, but I do understand the frustration people have when they play against Milia. I myself had to fight Milia, and we are very frustrating to fight against. But again, Milia did not have the same amount of evolution that Soul had when Strive, quote-unquote, evolved the Guilty Gear title. And Kappa, you wanted to add to my point?
Yeah, like, it's funny too, because it's like I fought Soul on launch, but I actually seldom fought him on launch. Like, I rarely ever fought Soul on launch. I fight him more now than I ever did before.
Unfortunately, for me, I guess it was an NA thing, but for me, like, because I was in Japan, servers...
No, I think it was just a me thing, because I knew people who were fighting Souls all day, and they were in NA, and I swear to God,
Maybe
I felt
because
like I
you
was
were
gonna-
playing Nagoriyuki?
I don't know. A lot of people weren't
honestly,
dodging
I
me
don't
at the
know.
time. But it was funny because, like, every single time...
I'm just
like,
gonna say
I always-
lucky bastard.
Yeah.
Lucky
Pretty much.
bastard. Pretty much, yeah. All right. So to put a bow on this podcast, this talk show, so are you worried or are you optimistic about the future of fighting game balancing?
In truth, I do have concerns for the future of fighting games, especially in the topic of accessibility and as well as simplification, because that is always something to like really consider, because it's like we've had bad examples and bad reps of what it means to not do accessibility right. DNF Duel is one of them. We know games like I would say BB Tag is one of them. Dragon Ball Fighters, Strive technically has that kind of rep, but you know it depends on who you ask really. And then you have the problems of like, do these companies continue doing these dated things or do they advance forward? And my concerns still lie with that. Like, are they going to ever address these things? But for the most part, I'm very positive moving forward, because the FGC, since the grassroots era of the FGC, has grown exponentially. We're seeing companies now like decide that it is an undisputed standard to have rollback and good netcode. It is an undisputed fact. It must be done. There's no debating it. No rollback, no buy. Then there's the fact that because of Plus R, we're seeing the implementation of replay theater into Tekken 8.
Oh yes, that is another thing that yep. There are more and more features that have been like niche features in the past that are becoming standard now.
Yeah, and Street Fighter 6 is an idea as like a pioneer for accessibility in the best ways.
Yes.
Where if Street Fighter 6 followed the Mortal Kombat 11 route and has so much for everyone who wants to play the game. And the thing I love about it is its offline modes and its online modes. It has ways you can play with friends in very dynamic ways. The customization.
Oh,
the
let's also add to that the casual game modes, like fucking Tekken Ball is back.
Yep. And my favorite thing about it is the absolute amazing training mode that they have, where you can play offline, be in training mode, and matchmake from training mode offline to an online lobby.
Oh my god, yes.
Which is very convenient, because now it queues you up and you could have all your preset stuff from the main menu going forward. So you can have your control scheme, your character, your color preference, your stage, your music, whatever. You can have that shit sorted by the main menu, which is amazing. You can go to settings in the main menu and you just basically have all that sorted out by then.
Yes. Oh my God.
And if this Evo is anything to go by, this Evo this year's Evo was a record-breaking event. So much so that we reached about, in total, 30,000 people, both in entrance and attendance.
And also,
TOs.
Like, if it didn't get the official recognition it deserved, it officially did now. Like, the founders of Evo, and this was before Evo was even called Evo, it was called Battle by the Bay. Little fun fact for you guys. They gave the keys. The mayor of Las Vegas gave the key of the city to fucking the founders, and it's now a fucking holiday, a recognized holiday, Evo Day. I'm like, that is arguably the biggest non-FGC that the FGC has ever gotten as a W.
The most beautiful part about that event were two things. One, during that whole speech about the whole Evo thing, like now we have 3 Evos, like starting next year. We have Evo Las Vegas, Evo Japan, and Evo New York. So we're gonna have 3 Evos from now on, moving forward.
Oh my God.
It's the fact that the mayor himself even acknowledged that Evo is one of the biggest events in Vegas. Like, it's one of the biggest events.
I mean, if
like they've acknowledged it on the same wavelength as like the Super Bowl, and even as far as like the NBA finals and whatnot. They said like this considerably one of the biggest and one of the most amazing events that they've had in Las Vegas, and they've recognized that.
And also how lucrative it is just to host it there. Like, damn.
Yeah, and how passionate this group is. But then the most beautiful thing that happened, bro, and it's one of those things that you just have to be there to experience it. When I was at Evo, when we were basically watching top 6 for Street Fighter. At one point, I know you guys probably saw it on stream.
Yeah.
But at one point in the arena, it was almost sold out, 12,000 plus people. And that's not even including the stands.
Yeah.
That's like including outside the stands. There were people who in the stands, we started seeing people turn on their flashlights on their phones. And one by one, we're like, what the fuck's going on? And they started waving them. And I was like looking around to see if anybody else is doing this.
A sea of lights.
And then all of a sudden, we're like, you know what? It's cool. And we all started turning our flashlights on. And then at one point, when everybody's flashlights started blinking on, everybody's doing the same shit, the TOs saw this shit. And the first thing they did was they acted upon it. All they did was they dimmed the lights completely, and except for the lights on the monitors. And the
stage.
And the stage, yeah. They dimmed all the lights except for the necessary things that they needed for the players. And then the commentators saw it. They're like, what's going on? And then they basically led the camera to show the sea of lights that we had. It was the most beautiful shit ever. It was terrific. It was lovely. The commentators could not believe it. They were having an amazing time. Yipes was surprised. It was one of the most lively events ever. And those Meta RD matches, bro, they were disgusting, bro. Fucking Meta RD. You guys don't hear it on stream, but this son of a bitch, bro teased the crowd where it's like he picked he went to Luke, boo. He went to Blanca, yeah, boo. Like they picked Luke, boos. Blanca, cheers. Then he goes to Luke one more time. He picks him, but he doesn't pick the costume. They're all booing him. Then he stops. Goes to Blanca, and then he confirms that everybody is like going fucking ballistic.
Bananas,
in the arena. Yeah. And the best part is bro's playing with his headset off the whole time. Oh my god, his standoff with Tokido, that shit was
that was hella hype. Like again, Tokido also like one of the best comeback moments of EVO 2023. Fucking level 1 super in the face of JP.
Because
Piece
something
of sick.
happened in his level 1 or level 2. It screwed him.
Yeah, like the last the last teleporting spike missed Ken. So it was basically a drop, but it was still a Oki reset because Tokido had to take the mix after that. Like, sure, he didn't get comboed to death, but he still had to respect JP after. So JP went for light into OD slash. And what does Tokido do? Level 1
2.
super. And I'm like, oh my god, he went for it and he just killed it. Damn.
It was a fantastic event. It was awesome.
And one of the most wholesome moments also happened also in Street Fighter 6. It was between Mena RD and Angry Bird.
Oh, that
Yeah.
when the controller disconnected?
Mena RD's controller malfunctioned, and in standard major tournament TO rules, if the controller disconnects, you drop the round. Like by default, you lose the round. Angry Bird, however, like just gave him the thumbs up. No, let's continue, let's play. And that was just hella wholesome. And Angry Bird ended up winning everything. That's why it's even more poetic. And now here's the thing. Anyone who says immediately like, oh yeah, I'll do that. It's very easy to say now. But don't forget how much money is on the line.
It was $1 million too.
No one in their right mind would honestly blame you if you took the W there. Because equally, it's understandable why you don't take the W, but it's completely understandable also why you would take the W. It's very easily explainable. If you take the W, hey, rules are rules. You gotta respect the rules. Gotta uphold the rules. But if you do not take the W, you let your opponent like, no, it's okay. Like, it's a mistake out of your control. Quite literally, let's continue the match. You didn't lose, let's just play. What you're saying is competition exceeds the borders of rules. Like, we're not just
also,
fighting because within the confines of the rules. No, it's like there is something more spiritual almost and beyond the structure of the spirit of competition why you did that. So again, major praise to Angry Bird for just like, no, he made an innocent mistake, we'll do that. The one time I know this happened very similarly also on the main stage was between, I believe it was Gamer B and somebody else. I think it was Infiltration, Street Fighter 4. His Razer fight stick disconnected, and I believe Gamer B was one round down. And remember, Street Fighter is a best of 3, so you just need to win twice. Now, in Street Fighter 4, if you deal damage, you build meter. What did Gamer B do? He hit his opponent with a weak poke, and then he let the timer continue. What does that mean? He will win the round, but he doesn't get the benefits of like, I gain meter. So again, it's a nice middle ground, like, well, rules are rules, but man, I feel dirty for taking this. And again, Gamer B's expression says it all. He was like, oh no, thank God, like that sucks. So instead of taking full advantage, he just did the very sportsmanlike thing of like, I'll just poke you on your toes. Let's let the timer run out. I don't get that much meter. We're still on even ground. I still get what I want. We still get the game going in a fair way. So again, it's really awesome that we saw a wholesome moment like that in EVO 2023 of all things.
It definitely was a center of controversy because the rules state that he basically would just continue and take the point. But there was also the fact that the controller disconnected before the round even started. Like the game hadn't even started yet, and the controller disconnected.
Yeah, it wasn't
so
mid-match.
it wasn't mid-match where it's like, oh, okay, now you have to do it. No, it happened way before, and Angry Bird was like, you know what, let's just run it. That's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, which was, and you know, it put a lot of respect on Angry Bird, because like Angry Bird, regardless of like win or loss, like it put a lot of respect on him, and you know,
That
it
moment
made his
he was
win.
people's champion. He was basically people's champion the moment he did that.
It also made his win feel deserved.
Deserved, yeah.
Because he fought it out. He fought it against Mena, and Mena did amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
Throughout that tournament, he was battling from losers, and he had one of the toughest, one of the stiffest runs throughout the entire thing. I think one of the craziest things that happened was during that Tokido match with his Ken, was during, like, at one point, it was the craziest shit. Remember, 2 months into the game's lifespan, brother had an anti-drive impact technique out of his install, and we were losing our minds. Bro, Blanca balled and drive impact went through. He went above the drive impact and punished it. It was disgusting to see how that happened. We've never seen counterplay like that, and it was only 2 months into the game.
Yep. Very young game. 2 months. Very, very
Yeah,
young.
and the level of play was so high. Even the people who saw it were like, the fact that you guys were like, these people were able to make such a high level play possible within 2 months has me excited to see what this game will be like when it's eventually fleshed out.
Yes.
Yeah, but going back to the whole, like, how my thoughts on our thoughts on the whole FGC and the future of it, I think that if we keep going the pace we're going, with caution, like without throwing caution to the wind, the game, the FGC can only grow from here.
Oh yes,
and
I agree.
And considering the reach it's gaining now with games coming out, this upcoming year is so jam-packed with games, it's gonna be hard to pick just one. So we're spoiled for choice. We're spoiled for choice. On top of that, we have games that are retrofitted with rollback that we can play.
And the best
so if you
part
want to play
also,
the classic games, they're there.
Go on. And the best part too, this all happened in arguably the best year in gaming we've ever had in decades. Like 2023 is arguably one of the best years in gaming ever, just because of how many W's we've had in terms of like game releases in 1 year. It's staggering in a good way.
Not even just game releases, but just genuine quality releases.
Yeah, just quality, yeah.
Like we've had, I'm not sure if Signalis came out this year, but Signalis came out, was godlike. We have Resident Evil 4 remake. Like we have
Dead Space remake.
We have
FF16.
so many games. We have FF16. We have FF7 remake DLC coming along the way.
Yeah.
And then we have all these fighting games coming through, updates, majors, retrofitted games. Like we just have all these things and more, and it's all thanks to somehow, like, for as unfortunate as this event was, COVID quite literally changed the landscape of what the FGC needed.
Yep. And I would say, I agree with Kappa. Like, in my opinion, fighting game developers just need to keep doing what they're doing right now and do it better. They don't have to. We're not in this stage where fighting games have to like introduce something new or innovate to keep it interesting or to pull people in. No, making a good fighting game has been enough for that. And I mean, of course, in the horizon, people are not talking about it right now. But of course, the next big game that people are really waiting for is Project L. A lot of people are really looking forward to what Project L will add to the table. But again, if fighting game developers need to do one thing, is just keep doing what you're doing. Recently, the fighting games in the landscape have been really, really strong. Even as you said, retroactively have getting quality of life changes and stuff. They know what they're doing. They're doing it well. They just need to do it better.
As long as we keep taking the good aspects of what's making these games tick, then I think the biggest step moving forward, right, is aside from just the online play, the training mode, accessibility, the ability to be able to make players be able to study their own ways of playing, the replay theater, and other quality of life changes and additions. The next big step, I feel, and Street Fighter has done this well, is just add content.
And
Just make
content.
content.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the next big step. But as far as everything is going, the fact that we not only got rollback, but crossplay is starting to become a thing, starting to become a
Yes,
standard,
thank
or
God.
slowly becoming a standard, that to me is good news, because now you're no longer limited on what platforms you should get or need to get. Now
Mhm.
you can play on anything you want, and all these platforms that are playable. And Stripe is one of the few games that really not pioneered, but like led the charge with cross-platform.
Yes.
With the fact that it was PC, Steam, PC, PS4 and PS5, Xbox, and basically other games are following suit.
Mhm.
Other fighting games are also following suit now. They have crossplay, not just between PS4 and PS5, but other platforms as well. And nowadays, right, we're seeing the potential addition of new fighting games from old IPs that haven't gotten a sequel in a minute. So we are seeing we are right now in a golden age of fighting games, because these companies are taking the bull by the horns and doing everything in their power to not exactly innovate, but expand upon their already pre-established set of skills.
Yes.
And now we're just seeing them let their nuts hang. They're just really letting their best stuff shine, and it all helps the fact that there's been so much shift in power that people are now trying to experiment and do new things. And I like when a developer gets confident and has the confidence to try things rather than sit on their laurels.
Yes. All right. That is it for episode 37 of Shrine Talk. Kappa, thanks again for being my guest.
Oh, it's been a lovely time, man. It's amazing the fact that I got to, like, for a person who's usually used to hosting people in these kinds of situations, it feels great to be a guest for
Yes.
once in a while, man. It feels great.
Now, as usual, I'm gonna give you the red carpet in a bit. But first things first, Foxtrots, I will be taking a break after this stream before I stream to you guys Phantom Liberty. Really excited to stream that for you guys later. But of course, as I always do, red carpet is yours, Kappa. If you're planning a stream or you want to give a shout out or anything, it's yours.
Well, hello everybody. Again, this is your boy Sir Kappa, the Demon of Mischief. But I will tell you today, while it wasn't my official debut, well, it wasn't a debut for my stream in particular, it is technically a debut nonetheless. However, if you do want to catch me on a debut, tomorrow is the best time. Like, technically today, Tuesday, is the best time to see me. I'm gonna be here at 11:15, 12 p.m. PST PDT. If you want to come by, we have the debut going, and I'll even go and talk in depth about the origin of how this all began. We're from the start to finish. I'm gonna go in depth about the whole thing. So you're gonna see a whole long-winded journey of how I eventually got to this point of being a VTuber, being a creator, and how things have changed since then. But the biggest thing I want to say real fast is, it's one of the greatest things that I've taken from all of this is the fact that along the way, it took a kid like me who, for the longest time, was always reserved, never really wanting to be in the spotlight, and always kind of just keeping to himself. It feels great to have found, it's funny, but it's also like really fulfilling that I found friends in places that I never thought I'd see, like places that I never would have guessed, and to even be a part of something even bigger than I ever could have imagined. So I have a lot of thanks for all the people who have been supporting me. A lot of the things that have been hard for me, but I've been nothing but eternally grateful for all the people in my corner, for all the people who have been beside me, who have supported me, who have shown nothing but love and respect and admiration, even in the most subtle of ways. It makes me feel great I've all like for as much as I am a little troglodyte on my own streams and other people's streams, yeah, I think it's safe to say that like for entertainment purposes, it's one thing, but outside of that, I try to maintain as much humility as possible, and it's it's like I don't have to explain to people why that's the case. I just do, and I feel like I've gotten to a point where people will just be able to tell you for me rather than me explain to you. And I'm grateful for the friends that I've made along the way, because it's been tough. It's been a rough ride, but I'm here. I'm doing the best I can. I'm loving the experience. I'm loving the people that are here with me, and I appreciate everyone who's really just given me the chance. Like in a life full of people who constantly showed me rejection and distanced themselves from me, I really appreciate the people who have given me the chance to show that I've got something worth taking a look at, taking a chance on, taking a gamble on, if you will. And it's really you guys don't understand how much that warms my heart. It really does, because as much as a troglodyte as I can be, like this stuff really does weigh a lot on my heart. And tomorrow on that debut, you'll see why. I'll explain to you then. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much for having me, Inari. Thank you for all the times, all the good times and the bad as well. And for everyone involved, please show love please give your love and support as you always do. The same respect you give to me, please give onto Inari. And I wish you all the best. I really wish everyone here a good time. I pray to God all the best things happen for you. May fortune bless you, and may God smile upon you. May the stars shine brightly on your darkest days. So this has been your boy. I've been the demon of mischief, the villain who basically just does his own thing. But at the end of the day, if there's one thing I gotta take from all this, is that in spite of being the villain of my story, if there's one thing I've always taken to heart, it's the fact that just because you're seen as the bad guy doesn't mean you should be held back from trying to be better. And that's something I will always take with me and will always learn and take and appreciate that my friends allowed me to be that. So thank you so much. I appreciate being here. This was an awesome talk. It means the world to me. And I hope you guys have a great day.
All right. And this has been, of course, your Shrine Kitsune Inari Yoko. We will see you in our respective streams. Mine will be in about an hour or so. And Kappa's will be several hours after this. Y'all heard it here. We'll see you in our respective streams. Goodbye. Take care, everyone, and have a good day.
See y'all.
See ya.